Our story starts in the heart of the Hamelphus mountain. A man walks on a narrow path along the molten lava. He takes deep breaths with each step since it's too hot. His boots have flame resistance, but it is still not enough to protect him from the scorching ground below his feet. This man is Agni, the 31st ranked knight in Korea. He is inside Hamelphus mountain, which is the only place where you can find legendary items from the fire dragon. One of those legendary items is the heart of the dragon. Since Agni's main attribute is fire, the item fits him perfectly. As he walks further, he comes across a door. He immediately recognizes that he has reached the enclosure of the legendary fire dragon. His hands start shaking from the nervousness. As he tries to calm himself down, he notices a random guy sleeping on the ground in front of him. Bro is sleeping with a blanket on while being surrounded by molten lava. Agni silently stares at the man for a few seconds since he is in disbelief. He can't fathom seeing someone sleeping in a place where he can barely even hold up using his flame-resistant equipment. He tries to calm himself down and wonders what he should do in this situation. He takes a good look at the sleeping beauty and realizes that all of his equipment is legendary. He thinks about the idea of stealing his equipment, but he can't be too hasty. He knows that it is no easy feat to reach the heart of the mountain, so he has to think twice before making a move. Agni finally decides to attack the man since he is still sleeping. He tries remembering the name of the guy since he knows all the top 100 rankers in the country, but the sleeping guy isn't one of them. He figures out that the guy is probably an unofficial ranker and lets out a flame attack aimed at the man. A screen appears in front of Agni notifying him that his karma has increased since he had preemptively attacked a man. Moreover, he also notices that the attack completely misses the sleeping guy. Agni starts panicking as he thinks to himself that the guy is probably awake. This sleeping beauty is the main character of our story. His name is Hyun-sung, and he had his narcolepsy skill active when he was attacked. Suddenly, a notification pops up, telling him that his sleepwalking skill has been activated. With his eyes still closed, he swiftly moves towards Agni to attack him. Agni is shocked to see him move this quickly. He tries to hit back, but our boy disappears in front of his eyes. Agni suddenly notices a chain coming towards him. He is not a rookie, so he takes out his best defense shield and stands directly in front of the attack. However, he soon realizes that he can't stop the attack. The chain completely shatters his armor, causing him to spit blood. Due to the damage taken, Agni starts to faint, and his eyes slowly close. Our sleepy boy doesn't waste a second and rushes in to finish the job. He slashes him with his sword, causing a fatal blow and the nightmare effect. Agni starts experiencing hallucinations before he dies and has to log out of the game. As he dies, his loot falls to the ground in the form of some gold coins and a sword. After brutally killing a man, Sung goes back to sleep like nothing ever happened. He wakes up sometime later and wonders how long he has slept. He suddenly notices the bag of coins and the sword. It doesn't take him long to figure out that his sleepwalking skill was responsible for the loot. He feels sorry for the man, but he takes the loot anyway. Sung is happy since he can get items like these whenever he sleeps. However, this wasn't always the case. He had put this idea into place 1 year and 4 months ago. The story goes into the past where we see our boy being scolded in an office for being late. He apologizes to the manager and tells him that his caregiver arrived late today. The manager isn't ready to listen and continues to scold him. All the employees listen to the manager screaming, but it is definitely not their first time. One of the employees asks his friend why the manager is so mad even though Sung is a good worker. His friend tells him that the manager graduated from an elite university, but he still couldn't get promoted. On the other hand, Sung was just a high school graduate, and he had entered such a big company at his age. Moreover, he was quick-witted and popular with the ladies, so the manager was just jealous. He has been working at the company for 5 years. He can't lose his job since he is only a high school graduate. Even though he hates the manager, he decides to endure his tantrum for the sake of his job. He butters up the manager to escape the situation, and the manager eventually lets him off the hook. He has to endure it since he needs the money for the medical bills of his younger sister. As he gets the coffee for the manager, he looks outside the window thinking to himself how much he wants to hit him. Sung goes back to his house at night and meets a middle-aged woman who appears to be the caretaker of his sister. Before leaving, the woman apologizes for being late. Sung inherited the house after the death of his parents. He lives together with his 20-year-old sister Hyuna. She is paralyzed and can't move her legs, so he has to take care of her. He walks closer to her and asks her what she did during the day. She tells him that she just played games and read her books since she couldn't do much. After talking to his sister, he leaves to change his clothes. He thinks to himself how his sister must be having a hard time due to her condition. He still remembers the day when his sister got into a car accident with their parents. His mom and dad die on the spot, but his sister is miraculously saved. As a result of the accident, she loses her ability to walk. It has been 6 years since that accident, but Sung knows it must be hard for his sister since she witnessed their parents die in front of her eyes. However, there is still positive news. Her health is getting better every day. She starts playing a virtual reality game on her doctor's recommendation, which helps her a lot. It is called Idea, and it allows players to visit a virtual planet even larger than Earth. The game becomes so popular that it is considered a second Earth and quickly becomes the biggest game on Earth. After watching TV, Sung takes Hyuna to her bedroom so she can sleep. He tells her to call him if she needs anything and leaves her room. When he bought the gaming capsule for his sister, he also bought one for himself. It cost him a lot of money, but he didn't spend money on anything else. However, he has a different use for this capsule. Time passes differently inside the VR world. 1 hour in the real world translates to 5 hours in the virtual world. This means Sung can enter the VR world and sleep, allowing him to sleep for up to 20 hours while only spending 4 to 5 hours in the real world. He needs to do this since he works overtime. He has also heard that people are making a lot of money through the game. Since the game is so big, it generates significant revenue through its players. It is not just recognized as a game, but as an entire industry. Many people quit their jobs to start careers in the game. Sung thinks it must be kids who started when the game was first launched, but he knows his skills are not inferior to theirs. He even had an offer to become a professional gamer when he was in school, but he declined it because his parents were against it. He thinks he shouldn't dwell on such immature things anymore since he has to take responsibility for his sister. He decides to stop thinking and go to sleep. A notification pops up in front of him asking if he wants to enter Idea. As soon as Sung confirms it, he is teleported to a virtual world. It is a beginner town where players can test their controls and get familiar with the VR world. Every new player is placed in a similar town before entering the game's tutorial. It has no other players, so it is the perfect place for him to sleep. He goes inside his favorite inn and throws himself on the bed. As he sleeps, a notification pops up informing him that he has slept for more than 10,000 hours inside the game. He has also acquired a new god-tier occupation called the Descendant of Thanatos, and the title, Are You a Legend? I Am a God. While all of this happens, he is asleep, cursing his manager. He wakes up the next morning and opens the screen to check the time. As he is about to log out, he notices several notification windows in front of him. As he begins reading them, he realizes that his occupation has changed to the highest tier. Opening the status window, he is shocked to see his stats have also increased massively. He starts sweating, wondering what is going on since he hasn't even completed the tutorial. As he stares at his god-tier occupation, he considers the idea of making money through the game. However, he doesn't want to make any hasty decisions, so he decides to log out for now. After logging out, he thinks to himself that he could earn as much as an office worker if he has good skills. However, his level is still low, so it will be tough. He finally decides to give it a try and use his savings to survive the next 2 months. The next moment, we see him excitedly cooking breakfast while listening to music. His sister asks him if he is cooking something. He hears her and thinks that she needs his help to go to the bathroom. After teasing her about it, he helps her get into the wheelchair. He is happy to see his sister acting so bright. After he leaves, his sister gets out of the wheelchair and tries taking a few steps on her own. It's not easy, but she is positive she can walk soon if she practices enough. Her doctor has also told her that she will be able to walk if she trains her muscles more. Sung knocks on the door and asks if she needs any help. She shouts at him not to come inside and tells him she doesn't need his help. She doesn't want him to see her practicing until she can walk perfectly. The scene shifts to Sung handing over a resignation letter to his manager. His manager asks if he wants to quit because of what happened between them yesterday. He starts advising against quitting and tells him not to give up so easily. When he doesn't respond, the manager goes a bit too far and tells him to think of his sick sister. Realizing he has said something wrong, the manager starts justifying himself, but he simply bows his head and looks him in the eyes, saying he doesn't wish to meet him again. All the employees watch, as they have never seen him look this scary. After quitting his job, he goes to a PC zone, which is like an internet cafe. He asks the man at the counter if he needs to pay in advance. The man tells him he needs to pay for the capsule first and then for the PC. Sung tells him he wants to use a PC first. He wants to study the game a little before actually starting to grind. He finds out that it is easier to make money if you are high-leveled. Most of Korea's official rankers are above level 300. He discovers that items between levels 100 and 200 have the highest demand. As he searches, he comes across an article about occupation tiers and their effect on levels. He learns that the higher a player's tier is, the more difficult it is to gain levels. In his case, it is 5 times more difficult to increase his level because he has a god-tier occupation. After reading this, he starts regretting leaving his job. A player's overall strength depends on their control and level. He wonders why anyone would want a high-tier occupation since it makes gaining levels so difficult. He goes back to the man at the counter and asks for a capsule. With 8.5 hours left before his job shift ends, he asks the man to charge his capsule for 9 hours. After paying for his capsule, he logs back into his account. He still has 50 status points but decides not to touch them for now since he doesn't know what skills he has. He clicks on his occupation and wonders what it is. Suddenly, another window pops up, explaining the lore behind his occupation. He is the descendant of Thanatos. The pop-up explains that Thanatos is the god of sleep and death, known as the most cautious god in ancient times. He enjoys death and sleep, alongside some mischief. Bro sounds just like me. Despite reading all that, Sung still doesn't know what the occupation actually does. He talks some shit about Thanatos before moving on to the skill list. He already has 6 skills despite being a beginner. His first skill is Narcolepsy, which is at max level. It is a passive skill that randomly activates once every 24 hours in real time. It forces the in-game character to fall asleep, and the player has to log out. While sleeping, the player increases their ability value. The second skill is Dream. It is also a passive skill at the max level. Dream allows the player to gain DP or damage points based on the amount they sleep. They can also gain DP by killing monsters or users above level 30. DP can be used to purchase items and skills from the DP store, which even includes legendary items. Players still own these items after death. The third skill is Sleepwalk. It is a level 1 passive skill that triggers when the player is asleep. It allows them to transfer control to an AI when the player is attacked in their sleep or when a monster is nearby. The fourth skill is Nightmare, which is also a passive skill at level 1. It gives the player a 10% chance to apply a nightmare effect on an enemy when landing a critical strike. The next skill is the Sabbath of Death. It is a level 1 passive skill that allows the player to put their enemy to sleep for a minute. During this time, the damage inflicted on the enemy is doubled. The skill consumes DP based on the enemy's level. Sung realizes he doesn't have any active offensive skills. He decides to pick one from the display store, but before he can do anything, the Narcolepsy skill activates, and he falls asleep. If he is forced to log out due to the capsule breaking down, he would simply disconnect and his character would stay in the game. Even though his player is sleeping, he remains conscious. A notification tells him that he has 11 hours and 48 minutes before he will be forced to log out. Since he has fallen asleep, he has to log out of the game and return to the real world. He has paid for the full 9 hours, but unfortunately, he can't get his money back. Just 12 minutes into the game, his Narcolepsy skill puts him to sleep. As he walks out of the store, he realizes how unexpected his skill is. The scene shifts to the hospital, where his sister is trying her best to walk. The doctor tells her that her knees are still weak, but there isn't anything else holding her back from walking. She assures her that she will be able to walk again once she gains more muscle. Her psychologist is Lee Mina. Hyuna tells her that she wants to surprise her brother, which is why she's working so hard. The psychologist continues making coffee and asks her when she plans to tell him. She has been paying her own hospital expenses, but Sung is still unaware of this. She mentions that she tried telling her brother about how she makes money from games, but he thought she was joking. Despite being sick, she is earning enough to pay for her own treatment. As they talk, Hyuna receives a call from her brother. He tells her he is home and asks where she is. She replies that she is out on a walk with the caretaker and assures him that she will be back soon. After talking to her brother, she calls her caretaker to help her get back home. On their way back, she instructs the caretaker to act like they are returning from a stroll, as she doesn't want her brother to know that she is practicing walking. As the two of them get back home, Sung tells the caretaker to go home early since he can look after his sister. Hyuna looks at him, wondering if he is mad. After the caretaker leaves, he picks up his sister and takes her to her room. She wonders if he has found out about her hospital visits since he seems a bit serious. After he puts her down on the bed, she asks him if he has something to say. Without looking at her, he tells her that he has left the company. She thinks to herself how he is always overworking himself, which must have made him tired, so it's reasonable that he left his job. He looks at her and reveals that he is going to earn money from Idea. Hearing this, her eyes light up and she tells him he has made a great decision. Sung is a bit surprised to see her so excited. She reveals that she wanted him to quit his job and work in the game, but she was afraid he would think it was weird. She offers to help him, mentioning that she has a high level. This surprises him, so he asks her what level she is. Hyuna reveals that she is level 331 and in the top 100 official rankers. She also shares that she has been earning a lot of money and paying for her medical bills. Sung is stunned and asks why she didn't tell him before. She tells him that she is worried about him because he works so hard but doesn't spend money on himself. That's why she decided to work. This makes him happy, realizing that his sister cares about him. He tells her that he will start playing the game and aim to reach the top 1,000 rank within 3 months. His sister smiles and asks why he is so confident, even though he is a year behind. She wants to know his occupation, but Sung keeps it a secret. He tells her he will reveal his occupation in 3 months if he doesn't reach the top 1,000 ranking. Hyuna jokingly tells him that he will come begging for her help in 3 months. As he leaves the room, he hopes he hasn't lost his progress because he fell asleep in the game. He logs back into the game and decides to leave the town. He notices his status points have increased after sleeping for 58 hours in the game. He walks to the town center and stands in front of the door leading to the tutorial. As he slowly pushes the door open, he is surrounded by a bright light. A window instructs him to choose his weapon and destroy the dummy scarecrow. He sees different types of weapons and, after a moment's thought, chooses the long sword. He is most familiar with this weapon thanks to his kendo practice. As he swings the sword to get familiar, he notices a large scarecrow in front of him. His stats are hidden, but the scarecrow doesn't look very strong. Sung destroys the scarecrow in a single slash. Since he finishes the tutorial in one go, he receives several rewards. He is now a non-ranker, which means he can register using a nickname instead of registering officially. He also gets the Monster Rookie title, which increases the amount of experience gained by 10%. He thinks about surprising his sister since he is an unofficial ranker. However, he is more interested in the Monster Rookie title because it allows him to gain experience more quickly. He then pulls up the list of titles he has received so far and realizes that he has basically won the lottery. He opens the map and decides to land in an actual village. He is in the Korean server, which is the powerhouse of the game since it was developed in Korea. Sung chooses Daeha Village as his first landing spot because it is a bit tricky, and he thinks most players would avoid it for that reason. It also has an orc village nearby, and orc monsters that are above level 30, making them almost impossible for beginners to defeat. However, for him, it is the perfect hunting ground with no players around. He decides it's time to level up and jumps into the village. The scene changes to 2 guards at the front gate of Daeha Village. They discuss why foreign visitors haven't been coming around. One of them explains that acid slimes are to blame. These slimes shoot out acid that beginners can't avoid, and it also destroys their equipment. There is also an orc village nearby. As they talk, they hear the sound of someone teleporting. They are surprised to see someone teleport into the village. All the NPCs excitedly welcome Sung, but when they realize he is a low-level player, they lose interest and go back to work. My man got roasted by NPCs. Even the guards feel sorry for him. Sung walks over to the guards and asks them where to find the slimes, wanting to hunt them. The guards try to warn him since he looks like a rookie. Despite the guards warning him about the danger, he thanks them and sets off. After running around the forest, he finds a slime and attacks it. As he gets closer, the slime blasts him with acid, but Sung's speed and control allow him to kill it instantly. However, he isn't satisfied and returns to the town to ask about the location of the orc village. The guards think to themselves that he has given up on life. They try to console him and even give him some money. They suggest he buy scrolls to leave the town. He is confused but accepts the money. This earns him the title of Begging King, which makes NPCs like him more. Deciding to find the orc village himself, he ventures outside. He is partially upset that the guards gave him money and considered him a beggar, but bro can't even complain since it's easy money. While walking, he eventually spots some large footprints and realizes that he is on the right path. Suddenly 2 orcs rush at him, but Sung dodges their attacks. The orcs are huge, but their attacks are predictable, so he kills both with ease, gaining several levels and some DP in the process. Enjoying the power boost, he decides to wipe out all the orcs near the town. He looks unstoppable as not a single orc can land a hit on him. Meanwhile, one of the town guards complains that their job is too boring. The other tells him not to think like that since their job is boring probably means that the villagers are safe. The 2 of them suddenly hear a sound coming from the woods. They immediately put up their defenses, expecting a red orc to jump out. However, they are met with Sung again. He returns to the guards, showing off the loot from his hunting spree. He asks them where he can sell all of his loot. They point him to the general store and he takes off. The guards realize that they might have made a mistake by judging him as a rookie. They consider asking for some of the gold back, but he has already left. Sung finds a merchant and sells all his loot for 150 gold. which impresses him because it is much more than he expected. He realizes that, at this rate, he'll be making more money than at his previous job in just a month or two. Excited, Sung runs toward the town exit faster than Flash. He avoids the guards completely since he is afraid that they might ask for their money back. He continues hunting more orcs, but after 10 hours in the game, he notices that he has leveled up compared to when he first entered the town. He has almost wiped out the orc population near the town. However, that still isn't enough to reach level 100. He doesn't want to log out yet, so he decides to visit the DP store. He goes for the normal grade items first. With 1 DP, he gets an iron dagger. Next is the rare grade, which costs 10 DP. He gets a bloodstone ring this time. This item has a 10% probability of recovering the player's stamina by 10% when attacking blood-bearing monsters. He also gets a special item, the EA stick, but considers it useless because it's for magicians. One of his more significant pulls is a heroic item called the Failed Item of Eyeless. He can attach this to his current weapon, boosting its attack power by 2 and also reducing mana consumption. Although it's not very impressive to him, it is still considered a heroic rank item. Then, Sung pulls out the legendary item, a mysterious egg with no description. This egg irritates him, and he thinks this is happening since he started with such an advantage. He suddenly encounters an orc but finishes him quickly. He goes back to the DP store to look for skill items. The first is a normal grade skill that gives him a 10% speed boost while running. The rare grade skill he receives is called Firing Matane. It is basically a skill that allows him to shoot mana-powered bullets with a 3-second cooldown. He also earns Berserker Song, a skill that boosts his attack power and makes him immune to damage for 10 seconds. As for his hero skill, Sung acquires Siren Seduction, which can draw all males within a 100-meter range into attacking him. He doesn't look satisfied with his current skills, since he wants something that he can use offensively. Finally, he receives Envoy's Chains, a legendary skill that attacks and chains all enemies within a 30-meter radius, bypassing their defenses and dealing 500% of Sung's attack power. He is thrilled with this legendary ability. While he explores his new skills, a man wearing a suit observes him through a large screen. He is standing inside the headquarters of Inferno, which is the company that made Idea. This man is Joe Minwoo, and he is the head of the user management team. One of the team members calls him out and tells him to look at the screen. Minwoo is concerned about how powerful Sung is becoming, especially with his unique talent and control over the game mechanics. His team member looks at him and asks what they should do about him. Minwoo orders him to add him to the highest tier of the shortlisted players. However, the guy replies by telling him that they had already added him to the shortlist when he got the God tier occupation. Minwoo is visibly frustrated, and he takes it out on one of his team members. Suddenly, the other guy informs him that Sung has opened the DP store. Minwoo quickly rushes to him to watch what he gets from the store. He didn't pay much attention to him at the beginning, but he was captivated when he finally saw the control he had on the game. Even if one gets a good occupation, it is impossible to make use of it without good control. Sung was among the top 0.1% when it came to control, so it was no wonder he could butcher all the orcs without a problem. Minwoo wonders why he has started playing just now since the game has been out for a long time. He wonders if it is possible to decrease Sung's chances of getting good items and skills in the DP store. However, some parts of the game are managed by AI. It is impossible even for developers to change those parts, and unfortunately for the user management team, the DP store is one of those parts. So the only thing Minwoo and his team can do is to pray. Minwoo laughs as he sees the MC getting a garbage item from the shop. However, his happiness is short-lived since our boy proceeds to pull out one of the most important items of Erast's quest. Bro tries to calm down, hoping that no other valuable items will appear. When he sees Sung pulling out an egg, he feels mixed emotions. The item is unlabeled, so he doesn't exactly know what it does, but he still thinks that Sung has no use for it, so he is satisfied. As he continues monitoring him, he almost faints since he watches him getting the Reaper's Chain skill. All of his other skills are defensive, but this skill alone is enough to cover all other aspects. He asks one of the guys if the probability of Sung not being able to clear out the orc village is 0. His guy confirms it as Minwoo stares at the screen in disbelief. He knows that Sung will surely find out about the hidden dungeon after clearing out the orc village, so he goes to report it to the higher-ups. The scene changes to our boy standing in front of the DP store. He could buy skills and items from the store once every month. He thinks about how he can use his skills more effectively and realizes that having a god-tier occupation isn't as bad after all. He is also earning good money while playing the game, which prompts him to wonder how much his sister is making. He wants to reach level 300 in 3 months, so he decides to stop wasting time and continues the hunt. While searching, he comes across the Red Oak Village where all the orcs are gathered. He can't find their boss, but he notices 2 elite sorcerers among the orcs and realizes that it might not be easy. He plans on finding the boss and finishing him off with his Reaper's chains. To start the fight, he uses his Siren Seduction skill and gathers all of them in one place. As soon as he finds their boss, he uses Reaper chains to defeat them all, earning more levels, 2 new titles, 50 DP, and a shortcut to a secret dungeon. Feeling excited but wishing for an item gathering skill, Sung continues his journey. The next day, he revisits the area in search of more orcs, but finds none. He remembers the map he had obtained and decides to investigate it. This leads him to a strange cave. As he walks inside, he notices some stairs going down into darkness. He wonders if this is supposed to be some secret passage since it isn't that secret. Anyways, he steps down the stairs and comes across a huge door that leads to the hidden dungeon. Inside, he faces the soul of the orc warrior. Since it is just a soul, his normal attacks do half the damage. He realizes that he must use his magic spells if he wants to win. He tests it with a swing from his sword, but as he thought, the damage done was half. Despite the orc soul being strong against physical attack, our boy manages to defeat it using a combination of his magic bullets and normal attacks. He guesses that there may be 50 more arcs in the dungeon, and if he defeats them all, he might rise above level 5. Meanwhile, his sister is on her way to the hospital for her rehabilitation exercises. She has to time her visits carefully since her brother is at home. However, since he is playing the game, she can sneak out. The caretaker asks her about the game, and Hyuna suggests she try it too. As the two of them continue moving, they pass a group of girls in school uniform. This makes her think that she could also have a normal life like them if she wasn't caught up in the accident. She brushes the thought off since she was still able to meet a lot of good people through the game. She has already told all of the guild members about her brother, but she decides to wait until he reaches level 100 before inviting him to the guild. At the hospital, she performs her rehabilitation exercises with the help of her doctor. She shares the information with her doctor, telling her about her brother's involvement in the game and the bet they made. She is overjoyed because she believes her brother can't possibly win. However, she still plans on helping him after 3 months. Meanwhile, back in the game, Sung defeats all the weaker enemies, leaving only the Namedra boss and a middle boss. He thinks to himself that he will easily reach level 30 if he kills those 2 bosses. The MC knows that he will get an additional occupation skill once he reaches level 30. He prepares himself by organizing his abilities and planning his defensive strategies. Finally, he decides to open the next door, which leads to the lair of the orc sorcerer. The sorcerer summons more orc warriors to help in the fight. As the orcs rush at him, all he can do is watch the chaos unfold. The orc sorcerer buffs its minions, but our boy isn't too worried. He already knows how to counter them. He slashes through the orc horde, even as the sorcerer casts lightning and fire spells. Over time, the sorcerer stops attacking because it runs out of mana. Sung easily kills the remaining orc warriors, and soon, the orc sorcerer is the only one left. He quickly finishes him off too. Not only does he gain levels, but the dungeon also has a lot of loot. However, he doesn't find any items that he can use. He opens the next door, which leads to the boss, but is frustrated to find that it's just a tunnel leading to a lower level. This gives him even more motivation to kill the boss. As Bro walks down the stairs, he starts contemplating his life choices. At the same time, in a virtual reality space, the user management team has been monitoring him for 25 hours. Minwoo is annoyed, and he wonders why they care so much about a newbie. He has already talked to the upper administration, but they don't seem to care since it's just one player. They think that he is lagging behind all players by a whole year, so it won't be a problem. However, the development leader Minura did see a problem. She was the only one who cared about Sung's case, and it was probably because of his occupation. This occupation wasn't like other normal occupations. It was not supposed to be obtainable since they didn't think that anyone would simply buy the capsule and sleep for over 10,000 hours. Minwoo would have lost his job if Yura hadn't stepped forward, and since she had a huge role in the company, they respected her decision. The user management team continues to monitor the MC as he steps inside the hidden dungeon. Minwoo progressively gets more worried as he hears that Sung has already reached level 33. Normally, it would take someone an entire week to reach that level, but he did it in a single day. In another part of the game called the Para Mountain, groups of players battle a giant called Cyclops. Even top players struggle to survive in this environment. The players use synchronized attacks to try and take down the giant, but it proves to be difficult. They somehow manage to make him fall down. As the players run away, the mage girl uses a gravity ability, causing a huge explosion. A blonde girl in the group rushes to rescue the mage since she was also caught in the explosion. She knows that it isn't enough to kill the giant. She leads her team to focus their attacks, and after a while, they defeat the Cyclops Lord. Everyone thanks each other for their hard work as they witness the huge rewards in front of them. But one person comments that if Hyuna were there, they could have finished faster. The guy in the armor reveals that she went to the hospital for her rehabilitation. The man who asked about her realizes that he shouldn't have said that. The other group members also mock him for being too hasty. The mage informs the group members that Hyuna also wants to invite her brother to the guild. She didn't yet know his rank, but he may be above unique rank. It turns out that this group is from the Hero Guild. There are 7 members in the guild, including Hyuna, the mage, and their guildmaster Rin, all of whom have legendary or heroic rank classes. Rin's younger sister is also aiming to join the guild. However, she is still at level 50, so Rin decides to log on to her alt account and help her sister with level farming. Some players make multiple accounts so they can use the other characters as production workers. This allows them to gather items for their main character. After a brief chat, they divide the loot among themselves, as this is one of the best parts of dungeon raids. The group logs out, while Sung continues to fight orcs, finally making it to the boss room. As he puts his hand on the door, it warns him about entering the room. Despite warnings, he proceeds and faces an enormous, sleeping boss. He thinks to himself that he shouldn't use his finishing move right away since the boss had 2 phases. He thinks it's the right moment to attack, but the monster awakens when it hears his weapon. Its roar shakes the MC to his core, but he picks up his sword and jumps back into the battle with excitement. Suddenly, his vision starts to blur, and he struggles to stay awake. His narcolepsy skill kicks in, forcing him to fall asleep mid-fight. As his character dozes off, his sleepwalking skill activates, and the game's AI takes over his character. Back at the HQ, everyone celebrates the timing of the narcolepsy skill, which has activated at a critical moment. Some doubt his ability to defeat the boss, but one person reminds them that the AI is in control and will handle the fight. Minwoo tells him that he is right, and reveals that he isn't excited at the possibility of him losing to the boss. He says that Sung can defeat the boss easily while on sleepwalk. However, there was something else that they were all missing. In a 20-minute battle, the AI defeats the boss, performing even better than the man himself does. Everyone on the monitoring team is impressed by the AI's flawless control. Minwoo, on the other hand, is waiting for something else. He watches as the MC falls back asleep after killing the boss. All the loot stays on the ground. This shocks everyone, but it is the obvious drawback of the spell. If the loot is not collected within a set amount of time, it disappears. Minwoo, the team leader, is relieved that the MC won't be able to collect the loot. Meanwhile, our boy is still frustrated that the skill was activated at such a crucial time. He decides to stay positive since he knows that his stats will continue to increase during that time. At this point, he gets an unexpected call from his old friend. The two of them meet at a nearby cafe. His best friend from middle school, Jaehwan, tells him that he's been doing well lately and now runs his own business. He explains that he's making money by creating videos about idea and that a lot of people hire video editors because so many players need advice and information. Sung shares that he also plans to make money with idea now that he's quit his job. Curious, his friend asks about his rank. When Sung reveals it's a god rank class, the guy is shocked. He takes another drink of soju, amazed that he has already reached level 30 after just a few hours of playing. The guy asks if he is interested in working together on video projects and explains that there's good money to be made by posting videos on YouTube. Our boy initially declines, but when his friend tells him that he could be making millions, he agrees to the offer without hesitation. Bro even pulls out a pen out of nowhere and asks where he needs to sign. He asks his friend if he needs to do anything to prepare for the videos. His friend tells him that he simply needs to log in and start filming. As the two of them discuss the videos, Sung asks his friend if he would manage his YouTube channel. His friend tells him that he shouldn't let others handle his channel since he can't trust anyone. Sung smiles at him and says that he chose him because he trusted him. He also suggests they split the profits evenly. However, Jaehwan insists that he should get more of the profits since he is the one providing the videos. Our boy doesn't agree with this and continues to convince his friend to split the profits evenly. Even though his friend pretends to agree, he plans to give the full share to him because he was his only friend during his tough school days. After catching up with his friend, Sung goes home, plugs a flash drive into his gaming capsule, and starts copying footage of his battles, including the hidden dungeon. That evening, he sent his friend an email with the video. As Jaehwan watches, he's amazed by Hung's skills, noting that most of the clips don't even need editing. When he gets to the boss fight, he notices that Sung's playstyle has changed. It's more precise, not giving the boss any chance to defend. It almost feels like watching a professional chef cook a meal. His movements are as clean as that of a knight, and his entire personality looks different. His friend likes his knight style better. He continues watching as our masked knight obliterates the boss with a single Reaper's chain attack. The friend starts sweating as he sees the boss helpless. The video looks more like an artwork, and Jae-won is completely mesmerized by the end of it. The next day, Sung wakes up to a flood of messages from his friend. He opens the messages where his friend admits that the video was so good it kept him awake all night. He gets worried and calls him, but his friend tells him that it's the best video he's ever seen and that there's nothing to worry about. The two of them decide to upload the video on YouTube once it's ready. Later that day, his sister asks him about his rank while they are having dinner. However, he isn't ready to tell her just yet. She suspects he's at least a unique rank. He laughs and tells her that he is above that rank since he wouldn't have quit his job otherwise. She thinks to herself that he has reached the requirements to join her guild, but she chooses not to invite him yet. She then asks him about his level, and when he reveals that he's already reached level 30 in just one day, she's amazed and finds it hard to believe. After having dinner, he logs back into the game only to be hit with a bunch of notifications. Excited to see the loot he won from the boss battle, he searches through it, but to his disappointment, he can't find anything. After 40 hours of sleep, his stats have increased again, but now he notices some red alerts on his screen. The man understands what happened. He lost all his loot and items since he didn't collect them on time, and now they're gone for good. Still, he moves on from this moment of grief. He figures out that if he balances his stats, he can use the Failure of Eyeless item. He also learns a new skill called Nocturne. This skill makes enemies stack nightmares each time they're hit, and for each stack, they take 300% more damage. Since it's an attack skill with no mana point consumption, our boy is thrilled to have it. However, his excitement fades when he realizes there should have been a skill book left behind from the boss battle. He dashes out of the village, chasing down more orcs in hopes of finding another hidden map. Unfortunately, the passage disappears. Bro starts going insane and laughs aloud. The guards who were planning to ask for their money back decided not to. The MC realizes that he just survived a boss, so he shouldn't be feeling so bad. He fuses the failed item of Alas with his sword. This doubles the attack power of his sword, and recuses the mana consumption of his weapon-related skills by 30%. Feeling ready to hunt again, Sung heads to a new town called Royhe, which is great for leveling up. Using a teleportation scroll, he arrives at the location. He is suddenly met with a lot of noise from people shouting everywhere. Some are begging for teleportation scrolls to leave while others are looking for a party. Looking at all the beggars, he thinks to himself that it is the best time to visit the dungeon. He decides to get going before any player stops him and asks for a scroll. While exploring, he realizes that he needs 2 more players to enter a dungeon. Being a solo player makes things tough. Bro joins all the beggars and starts shouting for a hunting party. Back in town, a character named Rin overhears Sung looking for allies. She assumes that he might be using an alternate character, given his gear, but doesn't know how low level he is. Most high-level players do this to improve their control. She approaches the MC and invites him to join her party. He immediately accepts since he is desperate for other members. She introduces herself as Lena and tells him that her sister will be joining them for the hunt. She then asks him how long is he planning to hunt since she wants to continue hunting after clearing that particular dungeon. He agrees with this proposal. Rin reveals that she and her sister are not high level and asks him if that is a problem. Since Sung's level is also low, he tells them that it is fine. Since they are about to go into a level 100 dungeon, she wonders if he will be able to keep up with them. She gets contacted by her sister, and the two of them go to meet her. Before heading out, the MC runs to the blacksmith to get a new sword. After upgrading, he's happy with the sword's damage, strong enough to fight level 120 monsters, and it's further buffed by the Iris Clinker. When they all meet up, Rin's sister introduces herself as Yoon. Although she looks younger than his own sister, he knows that she is much stronger for her age. He doesn't have to worry about going into a dungeon since both of his party members are strong. As they discuss their strategy in the dungeon, Rin tells him that they are low level, but she assures him that their skills are strong enough. Sung jokes that they shouldn't worry because he's low level too. After adding him to the party, they are surprised to learn that Sung is only level 35. Both sisters are a bit disappointed since they think that they have to carry him now. However, Rin recalls his quick speed and thinks to herself that it should be level 80. If he was so fast at such a low level, then it must mean that he has some high rank. She figured that he might be a legendary rank since he could move that fast. Our boy wonders if they are going to kick him out of the party because of his low level, but Rin reassures him that everything is fine and they'll keep the party going. He then tells them that he'll be filming their journey for a video. After preparing, he stands up and suggests that they get going. However, Rin points out that they haven't discussed any tactics yet. The MC, who usually fights without much strategy, is unfamiliar with the idea. They explain that parties usually get a better understanding of all the monsters and the terrains in a dungeon before they go hunting. However, they don't do briefings either, so they are ready to get going. When they arrive at the Raiken's cave, Yoon asks our boy to lead, as she wants to see how strong he really is. Her sister thinks that she is rude, but Sung happily agrees, since he thinks that they should test everyone's skill in the party. And he also wants to show off in front of the ladies. As they enter the dungeon, they get a notification that the monsters are stronger, because the dungeon hasn't been cleared in a while. Despite this, the monsters will give more experience. Our boy puts on his signature mask and starts filming. This confuses the others, and he explains that it is part of his character's concept. Soon, a werewolf-like monster appears. The MC wants to warm up, so he lunges at the creature, matching its attack speed, leaving Rin and Yoon both shocked and scared. They expect him to be quickly overwhelmed, but to their surprise, he cleanly slashes through the monster. After stacking nightmares on the monster with his attacks, he uses his Nocturne skill, striking it with black lightning and killing the werewolf in style. Both of the sisters are in awe. Seeing him pull off such clean and accurate strikes, they wonder if something like that is even possible. Rin thinks to herself if she can pull that kind of moves while playing on her main account. She wants to get him to join her guild. My man rizzed her up with a single kill. He is thrilled that he finally showed off his skills to them. As they continue, he speeds through more enemies, cutting down the Lycans and using Nocturne again to pile up nightmares on them. By the time the sisters are able to catch up, most of the battle is already over. Rin struggles to keep up with Sung, who quickly sprints to the next area. Her sister is able to follow him more closely, but even she feels like the MC is faster than her, despite being a speed player herself. He continues experimenting with his skills, playing around with different attack patterns while still defeating enemies efficiently. Bro literally acting like he is in practice mode. As Yoon catches up, she realizes that all the monsters have already been killed. Her sister comes running a few moments later, but she is also shocked to see no monsters in front of her. The MC looks back at them and asks them if they should keep moving. Before they can even answer, he runs off to hunt the next group of monsters. As he encounters 4 other monsters, his Nocturne skill is still on cooldown. He decides to test his new blade and attacks the monsters without using any spells. He continues practicing while destroying the monsters. While piercing a monster with his blade, he looks to his right to see Yoon fighting with her dual blades. He watches her using her sword as a shield and then follows it up with 2 blows. He becomes intrigued and considers trying them out one day. When Rin finally catches up to him again, he immediately takes off running again. Both the sisters stare in shock as he runs deeper into the dungeon. They have no other choice but to follow his lead. Meanwhile, back at the Hero Guild base, their mage, Sunny, feels bored as all her guildmates are out. She thinks about making an alt account to have some fun. She immediately gets excited as she hears someone teleporting to the guild house. The player turns out to be Hyuna, who greets her with a smile. They start chatting, and she explains how her brother quit his job to play Idea. She mentions that he leveled up to 30 in just one day, which amazes Sunny. However, she thinks such a feat is impossible unless the player has extraordinary abilities. She says that it is a bit hard to believe, but if it's true, then her brother must be better than the guildmaster Rin. Hyuna laughs and tells her that she might be going a bit too far. Her friend suggests that they call her right now and ask her about it. However, when they call her, she tells them that she's busy and says she'll call them back later. With Rin preoccupied, Sunny and Hyuna decide to go hunting together. Meanwhile, our boy is still in that cave with those 2 sisters. Seeing how fast he is running, the sisters think that he must be angry. In reality, he just wants to run towards the monsters as fast as he can and get the experience. While running, he spots 11 Lycans. He decides to take them all out by himself. He starts by throwing his dagger and follows it up with magic bullets. He ignores the Lycans hit by bullets and focuses on those still standing, lightly grazing them to stack nightmares. Once the Nocturne skill activates again, he kills all 11 Lycans in one full swing. However, even after killing all 11 monsters, his level only increases by 1. He gets annoyed since his level progression is much slower than he expected. The 2 sisters finally catch up, looking like they had just run a marathon. He asks them if they need a break, and they immediately collapse to the ground in relief. They rest while Sung continues practicing with his sword. The 2 sisters look at him and wonder if that is why he is so strong. This discourages them from trying to be strong since it looks too hard. They decide that it is better for them to not look at him. In their mind, they think that he must be angry at them for resting, but our boy is simply having fun while practicing the game. After some time, the sisters get up and tell him that they're ready to continue, although they still look exhausted. He tells them that they can rest more if they want, but at this point, they would rather just suffer than be embarrassed by seeing his practicing in front of them. The three of them continue the hunt. Sung slows down so they can keep up, but he keeps practicing his sword swings while running, making them believe that he's punishing them. Their party finally encounters an elite monster after running for a while. It looks like a normal lichen that has been going to the gym for a few months. In addition to the elite monster, there are 10 other lichens in front of them. The MC tells the group that he'll handle the elite, and the rest is up to them. Even though they're exhausted from all the running, they get ready to fight. Sung begins his attack, stabbing the elite monster and firing his magic bullets. He also throws his dagger, but the monster dodges it, though this is just a distraction. Right after, Sung lands a hit, enraging the monster. With the help of his Nocturne skill, he finishes him off thanks to the Nightmare stacks. Once the fight is over, he takes a break and watches the two sisters in combat. They're strong but clearly worn out after defeating the last few lichens. This time they really need a proper rest. He looks at them resting on the ground and tells them that he would rest too. The two think that he would just practice like before, but they are surprised to see him actually sitting down. Suddenly, his narcolepsy skill activates, and his vision starts to blur. He falls asleep on the spot. However, since he is at a party, his somnambulism skill activates, which lets the AI take over. He logs out of the account while apologizing to the sisters, thinking that he is getting the punishment for being too greedy. The MC is disappointed since he thinks that he might need a new party after they see him fighting with his AI. The sisters watch in surprise as he falls asleep mid-hunt. Rin assumes this is normal since he must be tired from hunting all those monsters. However, they're startled when Sung suddenly stands up again, controlled by the AI. A notification informs him that his sleepwalking skill won't be deactivated until he has cleared the entire dungeon. After only a brief 30-second break, the AI-controlled Sung starts running again, leaving both of the sisters struggling to keep up. The MC goes on a rampage while the AI is in control. He doesn't even pick up the items dropped by the monsters. Both the sisters run after him. All they see are a bunch of items on the ground. This is surprising for them since he usually picks up the items. They think that his inventory must be full, so they start picking the items for him. After 25 hours of following him, both the sisters are exhausted. Yoon points out to her sister that Sung's speed is nearly impossible. It usually takes parties days to reach this point, but he has done it in just one day. As they approach the boss's room, they see the MC standing in front of it. They apologize for being late, but he ignores them, which makes them think that he is angry. They suddenly see a warning message since they are about to enter the boss's room. Our masked boy was the one who had triggered the message. They try to stop him from going in, but it's too late. He has already opened the door. Now they have no choice but to fight the boss before they can log out. Meanwhile, the MC, unaware of what's happening, assumes that the two sisters will leave him alone while he sleeps. He plans to find another place to hunt by himself. As he is about to search online, he gets a call from his friend. When he picks up the call, he realizes that his friend's voice is a bit different. His friend tells him that he hasn't slept the entire night since he was editing the video. During their conversation, his friend mentions noticing something in the video that he had sent him. When he faced the boss Karak, his playstyle suddenly changed. Hearing this, the MC is shocked since he didn't expect the recording to continue even when he was asleep. His friend tells him that he plans to use his different styles as a concept in the video. During the boss fight, his control seemed more calculated. Normally his style looks crazy, almost as if he is making fun of the opponent. Sung then reveals that one of his skills lets an AI take over during battle. His friend finds this incredible and tells him that he has put on a white and black mask on his face during editing, just like Jekyll and Hyde. He asks him for a good nickname, but the MC needs some time to think about it. His friend sends him the video and reminds him to call him after he has decided on the name. The MC stares at the video in his email and feels a bit embarrassed to see his own video. However, when he watches the eye at work, he is left in shock. He can see the two different styles clearly now. He reflects on how the AI performed and picks up some new strategies from watching it. Back in the boss fight, the main monster is larger and faster than the others, but Sung manages to hold it off. The two sisters watch as the giant monster runs towards the MC in rage and sends him flying. With him out of the fight, the sisters know that they are in danger. Out of nowhere, our boy fires the magic bullets towards the boss. This works to enrage him even more. The boss charges at him, but he avoids the blow and counters with a successful attack. He stacks nightmares on the boss, using Nocturne to make the boss dizzy. While the boss is hallucinating from the nightmares, the MC continues to attack. As the boss recovers and prepares to counterattack, it's hit again by Sung's magic bullets. The boss expects Black Lightning next, but nothing happens, keeping it on edge for the rest of the battle. He is afraid of the spell, and it keeps him in a defensive position. However, when he notices that the MC is not using it anymore, he thinks to himself that it might be on cooldown. He changes his strategy and focuses on defense rather than attacking. Now, all the AI is doing are simple attacks. The boss is focused on dodging his sword, but the MC manages to land an attack on him. He then reactivates his Nocturne spell, catching the boss off guard with a critical hit. The boss collapses and bends over, feeling completely outmatched. Just as it seems like the fight is over, he lets out a yell, signaling the start of his second, more powerful phase. The two sisters realize that the boss is now stronger due to the earlier humiliation. Service's eyes are filled with rage as he slashes at the MC with increased speed, but our boy manages to keep up with his speed. As the battle continues, Sung uses his kicks to create a gap whenever the giant wolf tries to strike. Suddenly he pretends like he is about to cast the black lightning spell but stops at the very last second. The boss feels anxious as MC's bluff tactic makes him wait for a black lightning strike that never comes. He suspects that the ability doesn't work over long distances. Rin observes everything, noting how MC manipulates Service's fears by pretending the black lightning is still a threat. The boss starts running as he believes that the MC might not be able to cast his spell as long as they are some distance apart. Suddenly, our boy stops and uses his Death's Rest spell, declaring that Service will now perish. The boss is stunned and seems to lose his soul, taking double damage for the next minute. The MC then uses Reaper Chain to slice him cleanly, followed by a black lightning attack. The play doesn't play around. The boss has no chance of surviving such brutal attacks, and he dies. With the boss gone, the dungeon is cleared. The MC gains a lot of experience points, and the party collects double the loot, including the best items. Yoon also levels up to clearing the dungeon. Our masked boy receives a special notification for reaching level 50. The notification informs him about an exclusive quest that has just appeared. Since the battle is over, he goes back to sleep. The sisters decide to keep an eye on his belongings while he rests. The younger sister suggests gathering at the inn again, but Rin tells her that it is a bit rude. They end up deciding against it while the MC continues to sleep. Back at Inferno's headquarters, the team leader informs the higher-ups of the MC's level. They instruct him to keep an eye on an NPC emperor named Iron-Blooded Monarch due to the new exclusive quest. They add that Sung is suffering from narcolepsy and will wake up in 7 real-time hours. This means that he still has about 35 in-game hours before he wakes up. A massive castle spawns in Vina due to the MC's class quest. Vina is a beautiful city designed like Venice. It is one of the most popular cities due to its appearance and abundant level 100 monsters. The higher-ups become wary, knowing that NPCs might try to sabotage the quest. Once the Emperor finds the castle, he might order a lord from the city to form a survey corps to investigate. Minwoo believes our sleepy boy is the real concern. Once he wakes up, he needs to start the game immediately to prevent the Emperor from finding the castle first. The higher-ups instruct him to continue watching for now and inform them if anything happens. The team management leader is mostly worried about the Monarch Charon since he is unpredictable. He sent countless players to prison for over 100 years. Minwoo thinks that it will be fine if the Monarch shows little interest in the castle and only sends NPC troops to check the castle. However, if the Emperor inspects it himself, it could be disastrous. It will not only interfere with the MX quest, but it will also wake up the snake wyvern Aquilior, a monster sealed long ago. If he manages to kill the wyvern, it will not be a problem, but if he can't, it will destroy the entire Korean server. Minwoo sets aside this thought and thinks about siding with Sung since he can prevent all this if he simply gets to the castle first. He also recalls that a mysterious woman should also receive the quest now that Sung has unlocked it. The girl has a legendary rank in the same class as our MC. They both have different quest descriptions, but their quests are at the same place. If they work together efficiently, they can prevent the resurrection of the wyvern Aquilior. The iron-blooded monarch Karen is the strongest person on the continent. As he sits on his throne, he watches a man shaking in front of him. Terrified of saying the wrong thing, he reports a strange building that has appeared on Vina's eastern side. The Emperor tells him that he has no interest in the matter. The man immediately apologizes, saying that he would inform the mayor of Vina instead. He sheds tears of joy when Karen lets him go without killing him. The Emperor is puzzled about why his servants are so afraid of him. He used to show no mercy to his enemies for the glory of his empire and to bring victories to his people, but now he's just feared and bored. To find some excitement, he thinks about sneaking away from his throne, though he knows this could endanger the entire empire. He also feels that the level 100 monsters don't thrill him anymore. He suddenly has an interesting idea. He thinks of holding an event in the empire. This contest will be open to everyone, including the travelers and the citizens. The Emperor lets out an ominous smile and hopes that someone interesting will show up. He then declares that whoever wins the tournament will receive an item from the palace storage room and a wish. This competition is a big deal in the Korean server since it brings out all the users who want to make a name for themselves. However, it is a nightmare for the development team since they have to overlook everything. Meanwhile, Sung is bored watching his battle with Karak. He decides to try something new and enrolls in a kendo class. After researching online, he finds that the workshops and exercise facilities are teaching people to sharpen their skills. He believes this will help him as a warrior. He signs up for a gym and looks for a kendo dojo. He visits a rundown dojo and meets an elderly man who has impressive combat-ready muscles. He expresses his desire to learn martial arts. The old man praises his keen observation and invites him inside. The dojo has great equipment, including lethal weapons, though the ceiling is too low for free swinging. The old man asks the MC to remove his clothes and get ready to test their skills. Our boy picks up a sword and starts warming up. The man watches and quickly recognizes his genuine talent. As they spar, the MC attacks while keeping his distance. The old man counters with a spear, but he deflects it. Impressed, the old man notes that beginners often drop their weapons, but Sung persists. He suddenly loses his balance after being struck on the knee but still manages to counterattack and draw his sword. Despite his lack of endurance and being out of breath early on, the old man sees promise in him and decides he is a worthy student. After their practice match, the old man questions the MC about his goals. He explains that he wants to improve his swordplay since he plays the idea game. He's also interested in using his left hand for another weapon. The coach asks him about his playstyle and Sung tells him that he fights like a rabid dog. Hearing this, the coach suggests a dagger for his second weapon. He demonstrates a fighting stance with a dagger in his left hand, explaining its benefits and strategies, including throwing the dagger for distance attacks. The MC is very impressed and thinks this look suits him well. The coach asks him when he wants to start training and the MC suggests that they start right away. Meanwhile, Rin is battling the same wolves Sung had killed earlier. Taking a break, she uses her main account this time and easily defeats them, though not as quickly as the MC. She wonders if she will meet him again since she really wants to recruit him into their guild. Moreover, he still hasn't received the items that she gathered with her sister. Previously, both of the sisters had been waiting around as loot containers for him. Yoon, being less patient, tries to wake him up. She shakes him, but it still doesn't work. Suddenly, a notification appears informing the MC that he will be logged out because he has been sleeping for a long time. He will need to log out and will be taken to the nearest city. When he logs out, the younger sister gathers all his items. She knows they might cross paths again because of their similar levels. Rin plans to find him quickly. She is also waiting for his YouTube video as it might give her a clue about his current location. She wants to become stronger while she waits, taking pride in her strength as the guild leader. She is also mimicking the MC's fast clearing strategies. Hyuna and Sunny struggle to keep up with her and wonder why she is fired up all of a sudden. Back at his home, Sung finishes his sword training feeling stiff. Before exercising, he decides to check recent game updates on his computer. He learns about the mysterious castle in Vina, which the mayor has organized troops for. He also notices more players joining the hunt. As he continues reading the thread, he realizes that it is toxic and has nothing to do with him. He finds it boring and returns to the gym for another workout. By the end of his session, he was exhausted but pleased with his improved precision. Afterward, he logs into the game and sees that his stats have improved again. In the central plaza of Rihei village, he notices a player dressed as a frog trading items. He sells some items to the frog trader for a good price, twice what he would get from NPC stores. Now he needs to buy a transportation scroll, but for that, he needs to go to the general goods store. Before going there, he checks his messages and finds an important one. Upon reaching level 50, he has a special quest available only to top-ranked classes. The quest involves finding Thanos' disciple and discovering tasks assigned by Thanos, with the first clue being the mysterious castle in Vina. The disciple is said to have imprisoned an old evil dragon, and the remaining tasks will unlock as the MC levels up. Each task completed will reward him with a god's relic and a god's authority skill. However, if someone else finds the trace before him, he will fail the quest. Sung recalls the article about Vina and knows that failing a quest will reset him to level 1. Although the risks are high, the rewards are tempting. He decides to head to Vina immediately. Once there, he notices it's different from Rihei, with many top players and high-quality gear. Hyun, dressed in basic attire, is seen as unusual. To avoid drawing attention, he spends 1.2 million won to buy common-grade leather armor. However, he doesn't have any regrets since the game is also his source of earning money. He hurries to the castle, which is 3 game days away by horse. He needs to get there quickly to avoid the survey troops arriving first. He thinks he is at an advantage since he is by himself and the Survey Corps have a lot of people. He keeps thinking of all the quest rewards while running, which makes him run a bit faster. Meanwhile, at Mayor Dorgnom's private residence, he asks a man if everything is going as planned. The man confirms it. His name is Reiner and he is the guildmaster of the Superhuman Guild. The mayor praises him for his efforts. He doesn't care about pride and is focused on winning the mayor's favor. He receives a badge from the mayor, which gives him full authority to lead the survey troops. The guildmaster plans on using this badge to dominate all the high rankers who have bullied him in the past. Before dismissing him, the mayor looks at him and warns him not to mess up. Reiner tries, but his nervousness is apparent. After leaving the room, he tells himself that he only needs to endure this humiliation for a bit longer, since he will soon overthrow the mayor and take his place. In Vienna's East Plaza, players are lining up to apply for the Survey Corps quest. Players can join simply by registering. The man in charge of registering new players is the manager of the Superhuman Guild. He seems uninterested in the quest and thinks about how the mayor of Vienna hired players to complete the quest, because it's cheaper than using the Empire's resources. He is unhappy since he wants to hunt instead of doing this boring job. Suddenly his expressions change as he notices a beautiful girl standing in front of him. He realizes that players can only change 10% of their appearance in the game, which means that she is likely just as attractive in person. He asks her name and level, which is a bit unusual since he only needs her level. Despite being visibly upset, she gives her name, Han Seowa, a level 110 magician. The man tries to flirt with her, but she is annoyed and leaves after thanking him. She feels good about handling the situation and thinks about reaching the castle. Next, Sung arrives and casually reveals his level to the man. The man is irritated by his casual attitude and considers killing him, but he can't do it since the guildmaster has instructed him to take the job seriously. He lets him go for the moment but decides to teach him a lesson later on. The MC had finally decided to join the Survey Corps since he couldn't find his way to the castle. Minwoo closely follows his journey. He is frustrated that Sung and Seowa haven't interacted yet. He's glad they both arrived in Vienna to complete their missions, but they have different objectives. He sees them walk past each other and wonders why they aren't interacting. His team members tell him that Mac doesn't know if she is his ally or not, so it is understandable for him to be cautious. Moreover, the girl also has no information about the MC on her quest, so she might not recognize him. The team leader reviews each member's quest. The girl's mission is to stop the resurrection of the dragon, while Sung's is to find a trace of Thananos' disciple. He prays that everything will go smoothly. Back in Vienna, the registration for the Survey Corps has ended. The Survey Corps sets out for the castle in front of the city. The MC realizes that 1,000 people were invited, but only a few hundred actually showed up. He worries because the Superhuman Guild is also involved. He knows that they must have something up their sleeve. When they reach the castle, he plans to abandon the quest and complete it on his own. He feels uneasy as the guild manager keeps watching him, remembering their past interaction. The man plans to act during their break because he believes the MC is looking down on him. Suddenly he receives a message from Reiner, telling him they will try to delay the convoy before heading to the castle. They intend to finish the quest alone and claim all the rewards. The manager thinks that it is a good opportunity, but he knows that the guild master will put all the blame on him if things go wrong. He decides to postpone his plan of destroying the MC. Our boy notices him staring and figures that he must be planning to jump him later. He smiles and takes on the challenge. Reiner orders the group to take a 3 real-time hours break before continuing the mission, which will take 15 in-game hours. This delay causes other players to log off and return later. At night, while our masked boy is in the forest, he receives a notification telling him that his narcolepsy skill will be sealed since he is doing a quest. This is a blessing for him since he doesn't have to worry about falling asleep anymore. He knows that the manager might attack him soon, and he is fully prepared. He slowly starts to make his way deeper into the forest. The guild manager secretly follows him with his weapon ready. As the mech stops, he rushes at him to strike. However, before he can hit him, he hears the sound of chains. He starts having a weird feeling that something is not right. The MC looks back at him and he also looks puzzled. The Reaper's chains suddenly strike the manager, but they look a bit different. Sung stares at the manager in shock as he slowly dies due to the effects of the chains. Suddenly, the girl shows up holding a large Reaper weapon. She asks him if he's okay. My man is still in shock over what happened. After some pause, he tells her that he is fine. She suggests finding a safe place since more guild members might show up, but he refuses, saying he doesn't need her help. He doesn't want to reveal much information about himself since he is unsure if the girl is a friend or an enemy. Meanwhile, the girl feels like she got rejected as she watches him go. The team leader at the Korean HQ is furious, thinking this is the perfect moment to form an alliance. However, he quickly understands the MC's perspective. They are cautious of each other because they have different goals. He senses that something bad might happen soon. Sung thinks to himself that he will get the trace and run before the woman realizes his true motive. Someone from the survey crew announces that their break is over and they are moving out. One of the guys asks why they have decided to move so suddenly. Someone suggests they're moving to leave behind players who have logged out. Sung stares at the players and realizes they're on guard since one guy has died. He's lucky because the guy still has some time to respawn. The rest of the crew can't know that the guy died while chasing after him. The guy who died calls his friend in real life and tells him how he was killed while following a guy wearing a black mask. He also reveals that the guy had an ally. His friend quickly puts the phone down and decides to log into the game to investigate. Everyone in his guild knows by now that one of their members has died. They decide to stay alert and move in groups of 4 without making it too obvious. The friend who has just logged in is using a character named Reiner. Bro is about to turn into the armored titan. Reiner is on high alert, and it doesn't take long before he spots the masked boy in the crowd. He decides to keep watching him without raising suspicion. He wants to make a name for himself through the Survey Corps and isn't going to let anyone get in his way. I have a feeling he's about to get destroyed. Among the crowd, Seoa stares at her quest screen, wondering how a quest like this even exists. It tells her to block the resurrection of the snake wyvern, but she isn't sure how she's supposed to do that. One thing she knows for certain, she can't let anyone inside the castle. Her eyes suddenly fall on Reiner, who is intently watching Sung. She figures out that the person she killed must have contacted him offline, and that's why he's keeping an eye on Sung. She helped him out because the spiky-haired guy was trying to kill him, but she didn't realize it would make him a target. She decides to protect him since it's her fault that he's now on the guild's radar. The Survey Corps have been walking for over 35 in-game hours now. Sung wonders if he should take some rest, but he feels uneasy because some people are watching him. He wonders if they're purposefully making it obvious so he knows he's being watched. He doesn't care, so he runs toward the forest. The guild members think he's trying to escape, so they chase after him. He sees them catching their breath while trying to keep up with him, and this makes him realize that they probably have a slower reaction time than him. After leading them deeper into the forest, he slows down, allowing them to catch up. He figures out that the spiky-haired guy must have sent a message to the guild, and that's how they found out. As they start asking him questions about his partner, he pulls out his brand new sword and gets to work. He starts slashing through the players one by one. One of them manages to endure his attack since his level is a bit higher. The remaining players decide to charge at him together, but as expected, they're no match for our masked boy despite ganging up on him. While cutting down the players, he realizes how much DP he can gain from killing them. One player tries to hit him with a spear, but he easily dodges it and throws his dagger, hitting the player in the eye. Sung clears through most of the players pretty easily. The only ones left are the high-level guy, a knight, and a player who appears to be a mage. The knight and the tank try to keep him busy while the mage casts spells from a distance, but the power difference is just too much for them to handle. The knight can't hold on against him, so Sung is able to land a dagger on the mage. This destroys their entire formation, and he finishes them off with his longsword. Sung is pretty satisfied with himself, having not only acquired DP and items, but also captured some cool footage for his videos. He starts imagining himself in all those edits. He realizes he can't return to the camp now since it would likely cause chaos. Having worn his mask the entire time in the Survey Corps, he decides to take it off. But before he can, he notices a map on the ground. The map dropped from the guild leader, and it's everything Sung needs. He unregisters himself from the Survey Corps and decides to log out for a bit since he doesn't need to follow them anymore. Seoa has been watching all of this from a distance. She wonders what he is planning. Thinking back to earlier, she realizes he lured the man into the forest on purpose. She sees him pick up the map and then log out, which makes him look even more suspicious since she knows he isn't planning to complete the Survey Corps quest. Seoa decides to follow him and logs out of her account too. The scene shifts to Sung firing magical bullets at wild animals. They're small monsters, and he kills them with ease. He keeps running while holding the map in front of him, knowing the guildmaster must have figured out the missing map by now. As he runs, he hears something behind him. He stops for a moment to look back, but quickly decides to keep running. The person following him is Seoa. She's surprised by how easily he kills the small monsters. Normally, it takes around 1 to 5 minutes to hunt them, but he's killing them without even stopping. She thinks to herself that his skills might be of legendary grade. As she analyzes his techniques, she hopes to recruit him if she ever forms a guild in the future. Sung kills the monsters in 25 seconds this time, making Seoa wonder if his skills are on cooldown. The more she watches him in action, the more she appreciates his abilities. Meanwhile, in the Superhuman Guild group chat, the members are trash-talking Sung. My man has the whole group chat plotting against him. The guild leader puts down his phone to take a short nap. He's realized that he has the map, but he isn't too worried since he thinks he can reach the castle faster by forming another group. Judging from Sung's skills, the guild leader guesses he's probably between level 150 and 200. He decides to keep this in mind before assembling his new group. More than a day has passed, and Sung is still running toward the castle. He already expects the guild to form a new group. It's an obvious move since they lost the map. He can see them moving at maximum speed, so they're probably going to meet him before he reaches the castle. However, he doesn't know how many members this new group has. He can fight them as long as they're below level 200. Determined, Sung speeds up and rushes toward the castle. He's accumulated a lot of karma points, making it an ideal time for a fight. Moreover, he earns higher DP for players with higher levels, and he's eager to get some PvP footage since it's popular at the moment. While running, he spots the new group's resting spot. They're gathered around a campfire. Sung hides behind a tree and watches them. He notices there are 5 players, and they keep taking turns to log out. Most of them seem to be above level 150, but there's one whose level could be higher than 200. From the way they stand around the guildmaster, Sung realizes they are his direct subordinates. He also knows they're stronger than the group he faced before, but this doesn't deter him. He has it all planned out. Hiding in the bushes, he stares at the group like a hungry lion, ready to strike. The group discusses how strong Sung is, but they don't believe he can defeat them alone. One of the players mentions a rumor that he split an arrow in half while fighting their guild members, but they mock it as fake. As they talk, they suddenly hear the sound of a skill being activated. All of them immediately stand up, on high alert, and realize they're being ambushed. Sung activates Siren's call, causing all of them to run uncontrollably toward him. As they rush forward, they see a masked man in front of them. Sung slashes through them with lightning speed, inflicting the nightmare status. Under the effect of a nightmare, the players are paralyzed for 5 seconds, more than enough time for him to finish them off. Despite the level difference, killing them is easy for him. He earns 100 DP and a title that boosts his skills and experience gain. As Sung admires his rewards, he senses 5 other guild members nearby. He realizes the group consists of 10 members, including the 5 he just incapacitated. Reiner starts screaming for him to come out and show himself. He takes it as a challenge and fires a few magical bullets at them, but instead of following up with another attack, he stays hidden. This is part of his tactic. He keeps firing bullets to trigger the group's battle mode, preventing them from logging out. He repeats this several times, slowly breaking their formation. The guildmaster, now furious, screams and swears at Sung to come out. Satisfied with the chaos, Sung decides it's time to show himself. He reveals his presence and strikes them with his signature skill, killing them instantly. Sung knows the guildmaster won't be able to log into the game for 5 days after dying, so he feels no need to rush. The only issue left is the mysterious woman, but he assumes she's still with the Survey Corps, so it shouldn't be a problem for now. Sung logs out, and in the next scene, he's eating dinner with his sister. She looks tired, having been hunting non-stop with her guildmaster. She tells him that her guildmaster used to play slowly, but recently changed her pace, though it allowed her to gain 30 levels, so she's not complaining. Sung laughs, knowing how much his sister admires her guildmaster. He asks her some questions about the guild, and his sister explains that some guilds block others from entering different districts, but most of the time, guild members just have fun hunting together. She tries to invite him to join her guild, but he declines, saying his level is too low right now. As Sung prepares to go out, he thinks about maintaining his sister's image. He doesn't want her to be looked down upon if he joins the guild at a low level. He also remembers the fight footage and decides to send the clip where he split the arrow in half. The scene shifts to Sung running on a treadmill, watching the news as he runs. The panel has a player with them, and they discuss the sudden establishment of the Survey Corps. The player reveals that the Superhuman Guild is leading the Survey Corps and has committed many atrocities. Hearing this, the host asks what those atrocities are. The player explains that the guild is entrusted with recruiting more players for the quest, but they are intentionally dropping people, using their position of power to get rid of others. Furthermore, the guildmaster has supposedly recruited his own subordinates into the Survey Corps. While listening to the news, Sung feels somewhat relieved since there's no mention of him. As the host continues bashing the Superhuman Guild, Sung is more worried about the woman who saved him. "Don't worry, bro. We all fear women." He wonders if the girl is a friend or an enemy, but sets the thought aside, deciding to reach the castle first. Meanwhile, his editor friend is speechless after watching Sung's footage. He calls the rest of the editors to show them the video too. They all have the same opinion. The footage could easily rank at the top. They order a bunch of Red Bulls and start working on the video. Sung is out training with his new coach. The coach notices he's getting better day by day. His learning speed is so fast that he can see a technique for the first time and adapt to it immediately. Moreover, the look on his face shows that he's not playing around. The coach realizes he has to step up his game if he wants to challenge his student. He grabs his spear and goes up against Sung. Both swing their weapons at the same time. It looks like they're both going to hit each other, but the coach stops the training because Sung has hurt his palm. He tells him to follow him to the master's room to treat the wound. Instead of being upset, Sung is excited to see his palm injured since he can only experience this in a real fight. After treating the wound, the coach advises him to rest for a few days. However, Sung says that it's the best time for his hand to heal, so he'll see him tomorrow. Before the coach can say anything else, Sung thanks him for the session and walks out. At home, he has dinner with his sister and the caretaker. He tells them that he has been thinking of a name for YouTube. His sister asks if he is a YouTuber. He can't reveal it to her yet, so he tells her that it's for his friend Jaewon. He explains that his friend has started a video editing company and is posting videos of one of his clients. His sister asks about the theme of the videos. He tells her that the videos showcase two different styles, almost like Jekyll and Hyde. The caretaker thinks for a moment and suggests the name Asura. It's from an old animated movie and fits the theme perfectly. Moreover, there is also a three-faced god with the same name. Everyone loves this suggestion. Sung wants to discuss this new name with Jaewon, but he can't do it right away since he has to log back into his account. He worries that the guildmaster might wake up. After logging in, he stretches a little, even though it has zero benefit in the game. While looking at the map, he realizes he still needs 2 more days to reach the castle. As he starts walking again, he hears someone calling out to him. He looks back to see that same woman telling him to stop. He begins trembling when he sees her this angry. She looks directly into his eyes and tells him that he can't go any further. Seoa has been following him for quite some time now. She even sees him kill an entire group in an instant despite a huge level difference. She realizes that his skills are quite good in addition to his control. As she continues observing him from a distance, she catches him logging out of his account. She decides to rest for a bit and logs out of her account as well. She returns an hour and a half later but finds no trace of him. She knows he has yet to connect. Otherwise, she would have sensed his presence. This makes her feel a bit relieved, and she decides to wait for him while resting against a huge tree. Fast forward to 14 real-life hours, and Seoa is still waiting. She suddenly sees him logging back in. After waiting for such a long time, she has lost all her patience. She isn't going to let him get away now. This is the moment she runs up to him and tells him to stop. Sung sees her and wonders if she has been following him since he can't notice her presence. He also feels a bit nervous because he doesn't know her true motives right now. All this time, Minwoo has been stressing out, watching them get so close to each other while still not knowing anything about each other's quests. Sung asks her why she is trying to stop him. Seo-ah decides to be honest and tells him that she has a quest to stop people from entering the castle. Although her quest is a bit different, she still doesn't lie completely. He looks at her and wonders if she is lying. He reveals that he knows about her quest and even her occupation. This surprises her since she has never told him anything. He uses his chains on a dead monster to demonstrate that he has the same skill, so he figured it out when he saw her using the spell earlier. Seoa is still skeptical. She wonders if he has a copying spell that can mimic the spells of other players. However, since he also knows about her occupation, it's doubtful. Sung explains to her that he has a quest similar to hers. She asks him how she can trust him, and he tells her he also has a legendary occupation related to Thanatos. He even shows her to prove that he is in the middle of doing a quest. He explains that the map is a quest item he got after killing the superhuman guild members. Seoa believes he is telling the truth, so she decides to be completely honest with him. She apologizes for following him and asks if they both have the same quests. He says that he isn't completely sure since they both have different roles. Hearing this, she starts ranting about how vague her quest description is. He wonders if she is trying to deceive him, but seeing her complain about her skills makes him feel like she is being truthful. He also starts complaining about his narcolepsy skill and tells her that most of his skills have huge cooldowns, which is really annoying. After sharing their frustrations about the god of sleep and death, they both realize that they can trust each other. Sung thinks that the girl is naive and empty, but he knows that she isn't his enemy, so he isn't that worried. However, he still chooses to keep his god-tier rank a secret. Since her rank is lower than his, he guesses that she must be Thanatos' subordinate. After she finishes complaining, they both introduce themselves. She asks him why he is wearing a mask. He explains that it is just a persona since he makes YouTube videos. She is shocked when he takes off his mask, revealing that he looks so handsome. He notices her acting shy and asks if anything is wrong. She quickly changes her expression and tells him that it's nothing. The two of them decide to run to the castle together. As they run, Seo-ah thinks to herself that Sung could be a bigger hit on his channel if he uploads videos without his mask on. Meanwhile, he looks at her, impressed that she is so relaxed despite running so fast. He decides to increase his pace to keep up with her. Suddenly, she asks if she can add him as a friend. He looks at her with a surprised expression, so she starts making excuses, telling him that he has the map, so she needs to add him. He agrees with her and immediately sends her a friend request. She accepts his request and they become in-game friends. As the two of them finally reach the castle, they realize that it looks bigger up close. Seo-ah can't help but notice Sung's incredible control and willpower, which motivates her to work harder. They start walking toward the entrance, but for some reason, she can't enter. It seems like there is a barrier blocking her path. She sees a screen in front of her notifying her that she can't enter the castle and that her job is to defend it from the outside. By now, Sung has already crossed the gate. His messages tell him that he has to take a test upon entering the castle. His quest will only be completed if he passes the test, and failing it will cause the resurrection of the Wyvern Aquilior. He tells her that he has to take a test. By now, she has figured out that the quest appeared because of him. She tells him that it must have appeared since he completed some requirements. He agrees with her, but tries to act clueless at the same time. She smiles and tells him that he needs to take the test. She will just stand outside and guard the castle since the guild members must be reviving now. As Sung goes inside the castle, Seo-ah activates her Zone Declaration spell, which allows her to transform into her Super Saiyan mode. After transforming, she uses her summoning spell to summon some demons and commands them to hunt all the players who come near the castle. While standing outside, she wonders if Sung will be able to pass the test. However, there is nothing she can do but wait outside and find out. Meanwhile, as Sung walks inside, he encounters a huge wyvern statue. Just by looking at the statue, he unlocks a new achievement and increases all his stats by 5. Imagine being so strong that people earn achievements just by looking at your statue. Suddenly, a desk and a chair appear in front of him. A notification informs him that his first test has started. The difficulty of the test increases for every wrong answer, and the time limit is 1 hour. He sits down and realizes that it feels just like an actual test. He isn't really good at tests, so he starts skipping the questions. He skips the entire test, thinking it would be more fun if the game is harder. The time limit ends, and he gets 0 marks since he hasn't answered any questions. As a punishment, the difficulty for his next test is set to the max. In this test, he has to survive the wrath of the wyvern's doppelganger for an entire hour. Sung almost loses his marbles when he sees the dragon statue coming to life. The wyvern isn't playing around. It immediately starts with a powerful stomp. Sung knows that if he gets stomped by the wyvern, he will die instantly. He keeps running and dodging the wyvern's attacks, but his stamina is drastically reduced due to the shockwave. He decides to remove all of his equipment to increase his mobility. He also uses the 10 spare ability points in agility, allowing him to move faster and dodge the attacks more easily. Out of nowhere, the dragon spreads its wings and starts flying. The movement of the wings creates powerful winds that obstruct Sung's movements. He sees a hiding spot and immediately hides behind it to rest. The wyvern doesn't wait for another second and prepares to hit him with a fire attack. Sung uses the Siren Seduction spell to try to cancel its attack, but the effect only lasts for half a second. The dragon breathes fire out of its mouth, barely missing him. He watches most of the plaza disappearing with a single breath and realizes that he is in serious trouble. However, he can't just stand there and let the dragon attack him. He gets annoyed and throws one of his daggers toward the dragon. Even though the dagger deflects off its skin, it still does a bit of damage. This gives Sung some hope as he realizes that he can fight the dragon instead of just dodging its attacks. He equips all of his signature items, including his mask, and turns on the recording. After gearing up, he activates Thananos' Nocturne spell combined with the Nightmare. However, due to the level difference, the effect only lasts for half its duration. Meanwhile, at the user management office in Inferno, Minwoo worries that the wyvern will resurrect if Sung fails his quest. If that happens, it will cause chaos in the entire Korean server, and they can't afford this level of destruction. As the team continues to watch him, they realize that he is dodging the attacks pretty well. However, they are all shocked to see him suddenly stop and throw a dagger at the dragon. Minwoo stands with his eyes wide open, starting to realize that Sung is trying to kill the wyvern's doppelganger. Even though it's a doppelganger, it is still pretty strong, and someone like him shouldn't be able to kill it. Moreover, if it is killed, it is supposed to drop some extraordinary items. These items and skills aren't supposed to appear this early in the game, so even though killing the dragon is good, it will still be troublesome for the developers. Our masked boy continues hitting the wyvern from all directions. He knows that if it were the actual dragon, he would have died by now, but since this is a doppelganger, he has a chance to kill it. After attacking the dragon, he realizes that it is weak at melee combat. Moreover, due to its large size, it can't defend its underbelly, so it is targeting that area specifically. The dragon screeches and tries to attack him, but he uses his Nocturne spell to disable it. His spell doesn't last long on the dragon, but it is still useful. As the dragon goes still for half a second due to the effect of the spell, he jumps and hits it in the area where it is weak. Since he attacks the weak point, his attack deals critical damage. He now has 10 minutes left, but the dragon still seems to have a lot of stamina. It suddenly begins charging another fire breath. Sung sees this and quickly uses his siren seduction to interrupt its attack. The dragon stops for a moment and immediately hits him with the fire breath. He is quick to dodge the attack and realizes that the dragon's stamina has decreased below 10%. It is now in an awakened stage, and for 1 minute, it can actually die. He knows that this is his only chance. He uses his Sabbath of the Dead spell, which puts the enemy to sleep and increases the damage inflicted on them. However, the dragon resists the sleep spell, so it doesn't work. The double damage effect is still applicable. As he looks up at the dragon, he sees it aiming a fire breath attack directly at him. If he gets caught by the fire, he will die instantly. Despite knowing this, he jumps directly toward the fire and appears on the other side. Even the dragon is shocked. He quickly finishes it off with his Reaper's Chains. He actually uses his Berserker's Song spell to avoid damage from the fire. The spell also increases his attack damage by 50%, allowing him to finish off the wyvern's doppelganger. As he stands on top of the dead dragon, he realizes how close he is. If he hadn't killed the dragon and leveled up, he would surely have died after the Berserker's Call spell ended. He realizes that he needs a dodging spell for situations like this. Since the level difference is so high, he receives 2000 DP for killing the dragon. A notification informs him that he will be teleported to the rewards room soon, so he starts collecting all the loot as fast as he can. In the rewards room, he sees a glowing NPC who appears to be the disciple mentioned in the quest. Although it's just a hologram, the disciple explains that if Sung simply dodges the wyvern's attack, a different ending to the mission will occur. He knows that the MC has a strange personality since he is Thananos' offspring. Even though he's angry at him for making the test so hard, he listens to the disciple because it's only a hologram. The disciple is ready to give him his reward, but makes him choose between God's authority and God's relic. It turns out he can no longer have both. However, he can choose another authority once he progresses in the quest. The first authority spell is called Thananos' Call, and it requires 1000 DP to use. However, this ability will kill everything within a 100-meter radius. A mass destruction spell. Sung understands how dangerous this power is, but when he sees the second authority, he immediately chooses it. He also gains a legendary item and skill from the loot after defeating the wyvern. Back at the Korean HQ, the team leader sweats as the MC receives a new, extremely powerful skill that will help him rise in the game. He decides to report this to the higher-ups. The skill that our MC selects is called Lucid Dreaming. This skill has both active and passive effects. The passive ability allows him to gain double the DP and reduces the cooldown of the DP store by half. The active skill permanently reduces his level by 1, but for a minute, he has full control with no cooldowns on his abilities. This excites him because he can now use the DP store to gain 2 legendary skills in just 1 month. After choosing the authority, the disciple bids farewell, saying they'll meet again when the MC reaches level 100. He also advises him to leave quickly, as the castle is about to vanish. My man almost loses his cool and decides to punch the disciple when they meet again. He manages to escape the castle before it gets completely destroyed. Sioa greets him and asks if he failed. His no makes her realize that the disciple built the castle. She has met him before as well. She's happy her quest is successful, though she isn't too impressed with her rewards. She asks him if he has any useful skills or items from defeating the wyvern, and he checks his collection. The MC is pleased with the rewards, which include heroic grade boots that increase his attack and movement speed by 10%. The boots also allow him to create a duplicate of himself using the Mirage skill. He also receives a Belt of Dreams, which lets him avoid 5 unavoidable attacks each day, an extremely useful item in high-stakes situations. He also receives Killian's Ring, but he can't use it yet. The ring increases his magic attack power and decreases his mana consumption. His legendary item is the Worm's Heart, which grants him a huge stat boost of 500 magic powers, 500 intelligence, and double intelligence efficiency upon consumption. He even finds a skill book that teaches him the dragon language. Using this skill allows him to ignore all skill cooldowns. though the magic power is reduced by 50% and the mana cost is doubled. He realizes that it is better than expected since he can spam his spells as long as he doesn't run out of mana. The girl notices him getting thrilled with his rewards and figures that he must have received some incredible items. They decide to part ways, thanking each other for the successful mission. The MC is the first to leave. Coa feels jealous since he has such good skills. Meanwhile, she has a skill called Wake Up Song, which awakens an ally who hears her sing, though she feels it's too much. It pairs well with Sung's narcolepsy skill, but she doesn't know about it yet. Back at the inn, Sung prepares to eat the worm's heart and use his other new items. At this point, he's level 74 and has many ability points to spend. He uses 25 of them to boost his reflexes and the rest to build strength. After a long and exhausting day, he logs out. Later, he reconnects with his friend Jae-won through some videos he has been sending. His friend tells him that he has stayed awake for a few days since he was working on his videos. He informs him that he is taking a break and will upload his video soon. The friend seems impressed with the video he sent him the previous day. However, before talking about the video, he asks him about the name of his channel, and the MC replies that he wants to call it Asura. His friend quickly understands why and thinks the name suits his persona perfectly. The two continue chatting about the videos and other topics. During their conversation, his friend asks him if he has other videos for him to edit. Sung doesn't want him to overwork himself, so he denies having any new footage. He tells him that he is still in Vinaya. When his friend asks about the MC's level, he's surprised to hear that he is already level 74. He explains that he wants to chill for a bit and take things slow since he wants to enjoy the game. His friend jokes about him finding another dungeon, but he tells him that he wants to just enjoy himself by doing a quiet party hunt. Meanwhile, Reiner is furious about recent events, knowing he is now a wanted man in Vinaya. He can't use his character after damaging his guild's reputation, so he logs back in with a different character and rank. He gets a unique rank and smiles thinking about his revenge. The MC logs in as well, improving his stats by sleeping for 31 hours and 40 minutes. He remembers that players get a new skill at level 60, so he checks his collection. The skill he received is called Thananos' Collection. It is a passive skill that allows him to gather the souls of the boss monsters he defeats. Although Sung doesn't fully understand how it works, he believes it'll be useful eventually. He decides to take it easy and do some simpler quests after constant grinding. He thinks it's time to relax and enjoy the game for a bit. He gets a mission to collect a few shark fins. After accepting the quest, he runs into a man he's met before, the frogman who sold him equipment. They greet each other, and the frogman, Amir, invites him to join his group. Amir explains the benefits of joining, like buying all of the MC's goods so he has more space to continue farming and fighting monsters. Our greedy boy likes the idea and immediately agrees to join the group. He tells the boy that his level is low but his rank is rare, so he will be fine. He is the lowest level member of the group, which consists of players over level 100. Amir introduces him to the others, and they welcome him warmly. There's a mage, a healer, and an archer, but behind their friendly smiles, they're already plotting to steal from Amir and the MC. They even set up a separate group chat for their plan. The group heads out to hunt monsters. Amir baits the monsters by acting as a target, and Sung attacks it with his sword. They coordinate their attacks and fight the monster, but it somehow manages to get close to the merchant. He screams as he sees the monster in front of him, but our MC saves him by blocking the attack. He pretends to struggle while blocking the attack, but the healer immediately starts to restore his HP. He hits the monster again while dodging its attack at the same time. The mage girl finishes it off with her lightning spell. The three conspirators start realizing how talented the MC is, and they find it harder to execute their plan. Sung enjoys the pace of the hunt, keeping his strength in check and blending in with the group. Amir buys the loot from their hunt, and our MC earns 547,000 gold. As they all decide to rest before going further, the MC feels a bit impatient since he isn't used to resting after such a small fight. After resting, the merchant asks them if they should go for the safer route or the risker route, which had more rewards. The entire group voted to go for the risker route. As they continue on that route, the monsters start getting stronger. He completes his quest after getting the shark's fin and gets bonus gold. However, he becomes irritated when Amir suggests they take another break, especially since the other three keep whispering among themselves, plotting something. He knows that the merchant isn't a part of them, so he keeps an eye on them and wonders when they will make their move. As he prepares to go further, he remembers the two sisters from his previous dungeon. He realizes that he was inconsiderate when dealing with them, but they still managed to keep up with his pace. He regrets not adding them to his friends list. The archer runs while screaming as he gets chased by a shark. Amir uses his gold coin to aggro the shark away from him. Seeing this, Sung realizes that he must be a unique or rare grade since the aggro skill is impressive. Before the shark can attack the merchant, the MC slashes it with his sword. The mage follows it with a lightning attack. Our boy knowingly gets hit just to know what it feels like. Like he expected, he immediately gets healed by the healer. The rest of the group finishes the shark monster on their own. As the merchant calculates the price of all the items, the MC keeps his eyes on the group. The archer suggests they keep hunting and leads the group toward a cave, claiming there are monsters inside. He tries to trick them by saying he has better vision since he is an archer, but he doesn't realize that the MC has much better stats. Sung knows something is wrong since he doesn't see any monsters. He decides to continue observing until they make a move. The merchant scratches his head saying that he can't see anything in front of them. The MC also says the same. However, Amir suddenly gets excited and suggests that they keep going further. The group spots another door at the end of the tunnel. As they open the door and walk in, the three friends laugh, thinking that the MC and the merchant have fallen for their trick. Seeing them laugh, our boy lets out an evil smile as he also has his own plans. The archer claims he's out of arrows and asks Amir to buy some for him. The MC senses something is wrong before they reach the monsters and expects the group to betray him. While waiting for their trap, he grows a bit impatient. Amir gathers them and warns everyone to be careful before facing the dungeon's boss. They unlock the door and find the four-armed shark inside. Our boy charges forward and quickly glances at his teammates before launching his attack. The merchant uses his aggro skill, giving him a chance to sneak up on the ripped shark and strike one of its eyes. The mage and archer use their abilities while the shark is blinded. The MC decides to test his new skill, Mirage. The boss strikes him, but his body turns to black dust, revealing it as just an illusion. He appears behind the shark and starts slashing, but the boss fights back hard. Sung strategically gets hit by the shark. Seeing this, the three conspirators pretend to help, but they've been waiting for this moment all along. They act like they are helping him, but in reality, they are trying to hit him. While attacking the shark, several of their attacks also hit MC. As he loses his focus, the shark manages to bite his arm for real this time. Though badly injured, he immediately strikes the boss in the neck and then drinks a health potion. The others can't believe that he has survived such a brutal attack. The archer orders the mage to aim at him and attack again, but her lightning attack accidentally hits the monster instead. The MC dodges both the mage's and healer's attacks, leaving them confused. Meanwhile, Amir, unaware of their intentions, gives them a thumbs up for their efforts. After defeating the boss, Sung is grateful for how terrible the group's skills are. The merchant thanks everyone for defeating the boss and tells them that he wouldn't be able to kill the boss if it weren't for them. He announces that he will be giving away all the items he collected during the hunt. The Mac asks him if he is okay with that, and he tells him that he has gained a lot of things from hunting in a party, so he is good. The dungeon had dropped 4 items, so he tells the 4 of them to choose the items of their choice. The 3 friends start picking up items without even consulting the MC, which makes Amir feel bad. However, when he looks at him, he notices that he doesn't look disappointed. In the end, the MC gets a skill book, which gives him a rare ability to summon water-based sharks. He thanks Amir, and they become friends, adding each other in-game. Now, he has 2 friends on his list. The 3 party members thank them for the hunt and continue their journey. The MC notices that their attitudes have completely changed. After saying goodbye, Amir is happy to have met someone so impressive. As he heads back to town, the 3 veterans plan to ambush him when he's alone, but suddenly, they hear a voice behind them. The MC strikes and kills them before they can react. He takes the same loot they got from the dungeon. He also learns that he can use his DP points to lower his karma points, which is useful since he can continue killing players like them without the fear of karma. After being unable to play for a day, the 3 veterans log back in. They feel on edge since they don't even know what killed them last time. They make guesses on the enemy's rank and figure out that it must be some ally of the MC since he isn't strong enough to kill them alone. They are relieved since they see no mention of them on Idea's front page. They feel like the danger is gone and start making plans to rob the merchant. Once again, they hear that familiar voice, and before they even know it, they're dead again. At this point, our boy thinks about killing them a few more times. It seems like he is starting to get addicted to killing other players in the game. Bro is about to commit in-game felonies. Back in the real world, his friend is preparing to upload his first video to his YouTube channel, which has only 1 subscriber. He feels a bit anxious before uploading the video, but he knows that it is so good that he doesn't even need to promote it. After logging off, the MC hears his sister calling him. He immediately rushes to her room only to find out that she wants to show him a video. She shows him his own video and compliments the last part where the player cut off the arrow in half. The MC gets a bit carried away with the compliment and thanks her. When she asks him why he is thanking her, he makes an excuse that he was thanking her for praising his friend's video. He reveals that his friend has already sent him the video, and he also knows the player featured in the video. His sister gets excited and asks him if he can help her get in touch with Asura. She wants him to approach Asura and ask him about joining their guild. She also tells him about the Hero Guild's qualifications, including the members' ranks, and that they are allowed to roam around freely. Hearing his sister talk about her guild makes him think about joining it in the future. Sung tells her that he will try to convince Asura to join the Hero Guild, but he can't make any promises. Afterward, he helps her get back to her capsule, noticing she has gained some weight in her legs. Offended by her brother's comment, she tells him not to treat other girls like that. She also teases him for not having a girlfriend, which hits Bro a little too hard, and she starts bleeding through his nose. Before logging in, she reminds him once more about talking to Asura. Later, Jaewon calls Sung, telling him that his video has been uploaded. He advises him to check out the top web searches. To his surprise, 30 million people have already watched his video. It's unbelievable. Moreover, his channel has also gained 1.6 million subscribers. My man is on his way to dethrone Mr. Beast. The scene changes to Yoon fighting a huge bear by herself. She hits the bear with a lightning rush which stuns it for 5 seconds. During these 5 seconds, she easily finishes it off. However, she is still not satisfied since she is comparing herself to Sung. She thinks to herself that she needs to work harder. She thinks of the items they got from their last raid. She still has to give them back to him. This also gives her a reason to meet him again. Using a teleportation scroll, she goes back to the village. At the center plaza, she overhears players talking about a player named Asura. She also sees his videos being featured on the homepage of IDEA. She watches the video and immediately recognizes that the man in the video is definitely Sung. She can't help but be impressed by his smooth movements. After watching the video, she hurries to Vinaya, where the Hero Guild is located. Her sister is also watching that same video in her room. She wants to find his current location through the video, but the editing is making it hard. Hyuna runs into her room and asks her if she has watched the video. She tells Rin that 70 million people have already watched the video and mentions that her brother knows Asura. This makes her excited, and she asks her to pass a message to Asura, asking him if he would join their guild. Rin also wants to return the items from their previous raid to him. When Hyuna learns that Asura and her guild leader were together in a raid, she is surprised. After some time, she returns home. She sees her brother walking in and asks him if he has contacted Asura. He tells her that he hasn't contacted him yet since he is a busy guy. His sister asks him if he can relay a message to him from her guildmaster. She reveals that her guildmaster has already hunted with him before. Hearing this, Sung wonders if her guildmaster is lying just to meet him. However, when his sister tells him more details about the hunt, he realizes that she is probably talking about the older sister, Rin. He also figures out that she must be using an alt account. His sister gets excited and asks him if she can also meet Asura with him and their guildmaster. He realizes that Rin might recognize him, and his sister will figure out his secret. To cover himself, he tells her that Asura is very shy and might not have time to meet them in person. Meanwhile, someone in the palace informs the Emperor of the Karen Empire that the preparations for the tournament are going well and will be completed in a month. The Emperor is excited about the tournament and expects it to go as planned. Players will be divided into 4 groups based on their strengths and ranked accordingly. During this time, a monster horde is advancing toward Vinaya, killing everyone in its path. The monsters are on a mission to kill the Thananos' descendant. While this chaos is happening, our boy is distracted, checking his stats. He thinks to himself that he might have gone over level 100 by now if he was hunting alone. He recalls that his disciple might have another test for him, so he decides to learn more about Thananos. He heads to the Pantheon Temple to find out more. As he walks in, the guards don't even check his ID, and all the players seem to avoid him. Even the priests are avoiding him. Frustrated and confused by the situation, he spots an old man who seems superior to the other priests. Just as the MC is about to approach him, the old man bows and apologizes for not escorting him. It turns out this old man is the temple's bishop. The bishop trembles while speaking to Sung, and people around them start whispering about him. He invites him inside and seats him in a luxury chair. The MC feels bad for sitting while the bishop himself is standing. The bishop introduces himself and tells him that he is in charge of the temple. The MC smiles and tells the bishop that he doesn't need to be nervous. Before the bishop can say anything, the door behind them breaks and a guy enters the room. The MC wonders if they are being attacked. However, he notices a guy wearing a priest uniform with tears rolling down his eyes. The guy looks at the MC and calls him God. He suddenly bows so hard that he breaks the ground. With his forehead bleeding, the priest introduces himself as Libaeus and says that he is the servant of Thananos' descendant. Seeing this, our boy gets a bit weirded out and thinks about leaving. The priest requests him to follow him outside since there is nothing of use to him in that room. The MC notices that the priest's name is in green, which means that they are related to the same class. He is hesitant to follow him at first, but when the priest informs him that if he goes to the altar, he will receive a new skill, he immediately agrees. As the two walk into the altar, the MC realizes that there aren't any other priests. The priest begins to treat him as a master and begs him to look down on him. This creeps him out, but he agrees, since he doesn't really have another choice. He tries to ask him about Thananos, and he tells him to take a seat since the conversation is going to be long. After sitting down, the MC asks him the same question again, but he quickly realizes that Libeus doesn't know much about Thananos. The only thing he knows is that Thananos is the strongest among all gods. This makes the MC annoyed, and he feels like his time is being wasted. He gets up and decides to leave, but he notices the priest gathering his own belongings too. He asks the priest what he is doing, and he tells him that he was ordered by Thananos' disciple to follow him. The MC realizes that he might be important for the next part of his quest, so lets the priest follow him. Libeus also warns that dark energy from the east is coming soon, which could be crucial for the MC's future plans. He tells Sung that in just a few days, the city will be flooded with monsters, so there's no point in refusing his help. The MC doesn't know about the monsters approaching, so the priest explains that his earlier success in completing the Wyvern mission is the reason they're coming. Curious, he checks his status window and sees an alert from Idea that confirms the city is under attack. A search mission is issued to protect Vinea, and this excites the MC, who plans to hunt the monsters. He gets a notification that the priest has been added to his party, but their level difference is high, so he won't be able to use direct attacks. Sung curiously checks the priest's level, only to be shocked to see that his level is already at level 560, making him stronger than most players in Idea. With Libeus's high-level support and buffs, Sung feels confident. They eagerly prepare to head east, so they can attack the monsters before they reach the city. Meanwhile, Miura, the leader of Idea's development team, is working hard to prepare for the Emperor's fighting competition. She is a bit overworked, since she now has to deal with the monster wave approaching the city too. She thinks to herself that it is all happening because of our boy, since he is the descendant of Thananos. His next move can't really be predicted even if she uses Idea's AI, which makes things more difficult. She gets up from her chair trying to convince herself that she is just overthinking. However, Sung's rate of growth is still too fast. She knows that if he fights in the monster siege, he'll reach level 100, gaining 2 powerful skills, both of which will make him unbeatable. Even while eating her noodles, she can't stop thinking about his rapid progress. She uses the AI to calculate how many experience points he will gain if he manages to kill all of the monsters. The AI predicts that if he kills every monster, he will reach level 101 and get the best loot. Realizing this, Yura decides to focus on the upcoming tournament hosted by the NPC Emperor. At the same time, Yoon is searching for the MC near Vinea, but the city is already packed with people preparing for the monster attack. She notices the quest and thinks to herself that the MC, who loves to fight, will join the battle. She knows that he is not the one to take breaks to play it safe, so he might be outside the castle walls. She rushes out of the city, expecting him to confront the monsters before anyone else. Just like she expected, our boy is on top of a cliff with his homie Libeus, overlooking the monsters. The priest is acting like his assistant, and he gets excited when he hears that the monsters will be approaching them soon. The monsters can sense the MC through his energy. He looks back at the priest and asks him if he can put his Thananos' energy somewhere else. His assistant stares at him in utter amazement as he explains the entire plan. He exclaims that his knowledge has increased. The two of them commence their plan. As the monsters continue following the energy, they realize that it has been split into 2. The MC and the priest move toward the monsters, using Thananos' energy to lure them toward him. He orders Libeus to spread the energy, confusing the monsters and causing them to scatter. However, the energy suddenly disappears. At this point, both of them are just playing with the monsters. They look at the confused monsters from a tree and analyze their numbers. Sung notices that they appear a lot stronger and wonders if it is due to the wyvern's power. However, they have still fallen into his plan. He looks at the priest and thinks to himself that it wouldn't have been possible without him. There are around 5,000 monsters in total, with each boss monster leading about 1,000 subordinates. The MC plans to thin their numbers before they reach Vina. With Libeus's buffs, he could easily finish the quest on his own, but he decides not to be greedy this time. However, he still aims to take the top spot in contributions, focusing on killing bosses and elite mobs. He stands up and decides to go after the wolf boss monster. Our boy hits the record button and prepares to put on a good show. The wolf monsters are led by the boss called the Moonwater E-Bulk. The boss senses the MC's energy but only finds his jacket. Sung suddenly appears nearby and begins firing magic bullets, easily killing the elite monsters around the boss due to his increased magic power. The boss, desperate, uses its howling skill to buff the nearby wolves. The MC asks the priest for more buffs to overpower them, doubling his strength for an hour. As the fight continues, he keeps killing the subordinates, turning the battle into nothing more than a monster hunt. He decides to only use his sword to minimize the destruction he causes. He uses his Nocturne ability before stabbing the wolf boss, which is struck by black lightning and howls in pain. He finishes off the boss, leveling up by 30 levels, and getting the best loot drops due to this being linked to the previous Wyvern quest. Next, he uses Thananos' Necromancy to consume and revive the boss with a 50% stat boost for 10 minutes. With the giant wolf on his side, he is confident that he can take on the other bosses as well. The MC looks over at the priest and notices him holding something. He asks him what he is holding, and the priest tells him that he has prepared new clothes for him since his previous ones were torn. The MC then decides to hunt a black char snake, which, while not as strong as ogres, has dangerous poison. He rushes in to fight while his buffs are still active. The controlled wolf attacks the snake, and the snake retaliates, but it can't hold off against the MC for long, so he quickly defeats it and gets more loot. The MC moves on to his next target, the ogre champion Akap. He rides towards the orc on the wolf. It was close to dying, but thanks to the priest, it healed back. As he approaches, a new boss monster, the patriarch of the giant orcs Pirak, appears. The MC considers using his lucid dreaming talent, but decides against it, as it would make the fight too easy. He initially plans to fight the giant orc and let his wolf handle the ogre, but decides against it when he analyzes their strength again. He switches the bosses with the wolf and goes for the ogre. The magic bullets he fires at the ogre are ineffective, so he uses his Mirage talent to dodge attacks and find openings. He manages to hit the ogre, but it then uses its talent to speed up and resist magic attacks. He then launches his Shark Torpedo ability, summoning water sharks to attack the ogre. Although the ogre blocks most of the attacks, the MC manages to blind it with a hit to its left eye, dealing critical damage. Despite this, the ogre fights back and hits him with a counterattack, but Sung's Belt of Dreams protects him from getting critically damaged. As he looks around, he sees that the ogre's friends have also joined the fight. Realizing he's surrounded, he uses his chains to kill most of the monsters, and the surviving ones are struck by black lightning. With only the giant orc and the ogre left, he focuses on the orc, using his Shark Torpedo talent while fending off the ogre's attacks. He finds himself limited to just 2 skills, the Dragon Language skill and the Shark Torpedo, and he's surrounded by reinforcements. He wants to show an overwhelming victory for his YouTube video, so he challenges the monsters to come at him all at once. As the monsters approach him, he uses his lucid dreaming talent to eliminate all cooldowns and casting times for 1 minute. However, this means that he'll have no defense for the next 10 days. He also activates his Berserk talent, allowing him to defeat all the monsters quickly. The sharks, black lightning, and magic bullets overwhelm the boss monsters. He finally defeats the ogre champion, and with a grin, he uses his necromancy skill to control the powerful ogre. The giant orc attacks with a talent that immobilizes enemies, but unfortunately the MC's Belt of Dreams doesn't activate, leaving a gap in his defense. The orc uses this opportunity to land a powerful hit on the MC, which creates a giant hole in the ground. Meanwhile, my man Libeus is just being entertained by all this. The orc looks at him and tells him that he will die next. However, he is suddenly hit by an attack from behind. As he looks back, he sees the summoned ogre still alive. The orc realizes that the Mac might still be alive since his summoned unit was still moving. Sung gets out of the hole with blood rushing out from his eyes. He had used the Berserker's Rage spell before getting hit, so the damage was negated. It doesn't take long for the MC to finish him off. With all the bosses defeated, he quickly gathers the loot from the hunt. His Lucid Dream ability runs out, leaving his defense at 0. Suddenly a bunch of monsters swarm around him, and he realizes he's at a serious disadvantage and tries to escape. Suddenly, yellow lightning strikes the monsters chasing him, leaving him confused since he doesn't have that power. He wonders if it's a boss that he forgot to defeat. His defense is at 0, and most of his spells are on cooldown, so the last thing he wants to deal with is another powerful boss. He looks back at the priest, who also looks worried. Before the priest can tell him anything, he hears the voice of a girl calling him. As he looks at the girl, his eyes widen in surprise since he already knows her. The girl turns out to be Yun. Libeus doesn't like her since she is a paladin who serves the god of heaven. He quickly realizes that the girl might be an ally of the MC, so he apologizes. He nervously smiles and tells Yoon that the priest is just a thoughtless NPC. She explains that she's been looking for him to return his belongings. The MC thinks to himself that there is a higher chance of her running into him since they are both similar in level compared to her sister whose level was really high. However, he still wonders how she managed to find him. She apologizes and mentions that she watched his video and identified his whereabouts from that video. Moreover, she also saw the emergency quest and immediately knew that he would join. As they talk, another group of monsters appears, but they quickly take care of them. Afterward, they head back to the city. They talk about going to a cafe, but Libeus wants to join them too. The MC wants to send him away, so he makes a serious expression and tells him that he has something secretive for him. He orders him to go to the Parthenon to look for clues about the second trace. The priest considers it an honor to carry out such an important mission, so he quickly goes away. With the priest gone, they can peacefully go to the cafe. At the cafe, Yoon worries that she might come off as stalker-like, so she shows him the items he dropped earlier. She tries to play it cool and mentions that she only came to meet him since she had to give him all the items back. Hearing this, the MC smiles and tells her that she doesn't need to worry about his misunderstanding. He then looks at his inventory and notices a skill book. There is also a sword named Sinclair, which reduces damage by 50% while boosting other stats. The Emic thinks that he can reverse the debuff with Iris's failed product. The skill book includes a skill for instant teleportation with a 1-minute cooldown. The exact location of teleportation is random, which makes him a bit worried, but it's perfect for his Asura persona. He is glad he doesn't need to meet Rin and his sister anymore since he already has his items. He asks Yoon not to share his nickname, and she eagerly agrees. As they get ready to leave, she nervously asks him if she can send him a friend request. She wonders if he will even accept the request. However, he smiles and tells her that they should do a party hunt sometime. He then accepts her friend request, and the two of them become friends. After a tiring day, he returns to his hotel, eager to check the items from his hunt. Most of them are unique grade items or materials. He thinks to himself that it is fine since he has a good skill. In all these trash items, there is also a skill book. After consuming the book, he acquires the Sweet Dreams skill. This skill allows him to fall asleep for 10 minutes, recovering health each minute, which fits well with his somnambulism skill. He could now use this skill in battle and swap into his knight persona on command. Moreover, he will also be regaining his HP. He then takes a look at the emergency quest. He feels satisfied with his contributions and expects to rank highly since he defeated boss monsters and elite mobs. The MC then looks at the one heroic grade item that he received. He is surprised to see a dagger since he has just recently changed his style to carry 2 weapons. Meanwhile, Jaewon's workplace is buzzing with calls about Asura, and even top guilds are interested in this mysterious genius. All of the workers are getting bombarded by calls. He realizes that they can't keep up, so he tells them to put automated messages on all calls. He calls one of the employees and asks her how many inquiries they received about video editing. She tells him that they have received 34 calls. Jiwon realizes that they need to hire more staff to handle the workload. The girl suggests making a call center for all the inquiries since they will be busy with the editing. After sorting out the staff issues, he tells them to focus on other videos and decides to edit all of Sung's videos by himself. As they are distributing the workload, he receives a call from Devil, who is a popular streamer. He tosses his credit card to one of the employees and tells them to order whatever they want for dinner. Jaehwan apologizes to Devil for not contacting him sooner since he has been busy. As they continue talking, the streamer asks him if Asura is part of a guild. After hearing that he hasn't joined any guilds yet, he tries to take his chance and asks his friend to mention his own guild. Jaewon tells him that he will try, but he can't make any promises since he is the type of guy who likes to hunt alone. However, he mentions that he will ask him to do a joint stream with him. Devil seems excited to hear this, but he reveals that he called him for something else. He mentions the Empire's fighting competition. As soon as Jaewon hears about the competition, he decides to contact Sung and share the news with him. When he calls him, he tells him about the fighting competition and also asks him about his level. The MC mentions that he is currently at level 94. This surprises his friend and he advises him not to level up before the competition. He tells him that the participants would face each other based on classes, and most of the pros would be in the class below level 100. Our boy immediately figures out that if he wants to face the pro gamers, he needs to be below level 100. His friend then asks him about any new videos for his YouTube channel. He plans to send him the videos of a boss fight and his recent raid against monsters in front of Vinaya. Jaewon and his team are surprised by this news. The Mac also tells him that all the monsters invaded the city because of him, since it was related to his quest. 4 bosses led the monsters, and he killed all of them on his own. Everyone at the office is shocked when they hear that the quest was triggered because of him. His friend tells him that the monsters must have become really weak since he killed all the bosses. The MC hears this and says that he is a bit worried about his image since he killed all of them a bit too violently. His friend asks him for the video and tells his employees that it can be a huge hit since emergency quests are in trend right now. After sending the videos, the MC goes out with his sister to watch a movie. He feels relieved to watch her this happy since it has been a long time since she has gone outside to watch a movie. As she catches him staring at her, she internally gets excited as she plans to reveal her secret later that day. Back at home, Sung has a surprise waiting for him. His sister can now stand on her own 2 legs, leaving him shocked and pleased. At first, he screams at her in shock and asks her why she has been hiding it all this time. His shock quickly turns into confusion when he learns that she has been funding her recovery for the past 3 months. He didn't want to burden his younger sister with financial responsibilities, which is why he reacted this way. He finds out that she will be fully recovered in 2 weeks. His sister feels bad and asks him if he is actually mad at her. He jokingly tells her that he is mad and asks her to do a favor for him. She immediately lights up and asks him what he wants her to do. He asks her to prepare for the entrance exam and go to college. This comes as a total shock to her. He smiles and assures them that she would easily get into any college since she always had good grades. The MC is asking her all this since he knows that it is hard for her to make friends while staying at home. His sister agrees to his request, but she has a condition. She also wants him to join her in university. Meanwhile, monsters attack the city of Vinaya, causing chaos as they breach the eastern wall. Players struggle against these fast, organized mobs. As the sun rises, the first group of monsters seem to retreat. Just when they think they are safe, towering monsters appear, throwing the city into disarray. Guards and players are overwhelmed. Meanwhile, the MC is peacefully sleeping. His sister wakes him up and shows him a new video that is being aired on live TV. She doesn't know that Asura is his brother. She watches the video and tells her brother that he must be a legendary rank with that level of control. Sung nervously watches the video, hoping not to get exposed. Several popular personalities are present on the TV show. One of them is the popular idol member Jisoo, who is hosting the show. She admires Asura's skills, but a player from the Korean servers doubts it, claiming that he should be at least level 150. The host gets annoyed and tells him that he doesn't understand his true power. The player claims that he must be above level 300 since that explains how he was able to fight the monsters so easily. The conversation shifts to the monster invasion in Vinaya. They have a rank 4th blacksmith on the show who tells them how bad the situation actually is. Wolves and orcs are attacking the entire city. Sung didn't anticipate this when he left all those monsters since he thought that the players would be able to defeat them without a boss. He walks away and tells his sister that he is going to sleep. The show continues discussing if the situation in the city could be different if Asura showed up to help. Just as they are talking, a crew member informs the hosts that Asura has been spotted on the eastern side of Vinaya. The scene shifts to the eastern wall where the situation looks dire. The captain of the guards stares at the damaged structures and players. Suddenly they hear another wave approaching. The players refuse to give up and they all start cheering for victory. The captain of the guards leads them as they all face the monsters. As both groups clash, lightning strikes down, taking out the monsters. The NPC guards look confused since they don't know who cast the lightning. The captain notices a girl walking towards them from the smoke and asks her who she is. The girl turns out to be Yoon. She has a serious expression on her face as she tells him that they don't really have time to be asking that. She stands with the guards to try to keep the monsters from breaching the wall. Without wasting another second, she uses her signature Heaven's Lightning spell and starts destroying the monsters. With her by their side, the NPCs find a new wave of motivation and charge at the monsters again. However, as the fight goes on, Yoon finds herself surrounded and thinks she might die for the first time in a video game. She closes her eyes and accepts her death. Several seconds pass and nothing happens. When she opens her eyes, she sees our masked boy standing in front of her with a pile of dead monsters lying around. She realizes that it is Asura, but he is wearing a white mask this time. The MC holds his sword and kneels down. This confuses the girl even more since the monsters are approaching them from all sides. He suddenly uses his Sweet Dream skill, which allows an AI to control him while he sleeps for 10 minutes, making his character fight on autopilot. With the AI controlling his movements, he goes on a rampage against the monster. He realizes that he can actually see what his character is doing. The AI is learning his movements and then acting accordingly. It even uses his signature Reaper's Chair skill, which amazes all the players watching. The MC starts enjoying it a bit too much and even wants to fight the AI version of himself. Yoon stares at him from a distance, as she is fascinated by his skill. She starts recording at the MC's request and decides to help him with the monsters. Meanwhile, the MC is worried that he might level up to 100 if he keeps killing all the monsters. He wants to avoid leveling up because he wants to compete against professionals. Sung stares at an elite monster and realizes that he didn't really kill any elite monster. He uses his necromancy spell to kill the giant orc and then summon it as his own pet. This makes the onlookers even more excited since they get to see this skill in action. The giant orc starts killing monsters and all the other players follow. Meanwhile, the MC is annoyed that the AI is not picking up any items. The AI continues to defeat more monsters using necromancy. He levels up to 96, then 99, feeling nervous about reaching level 100. He knows that if he reaches that level, he might not be able to compete with the pro players and will activate the second trace. Suddenly, a notification shows that his Sweet Dreams talent has ended, and he quickly starts collecting the loot he earned. He also receives a thank you message from Yoon for saving her. He waves to her and leaves the area. Everyone in the community appreciates Asura, ready to defend him from negative comments. The girl looks at them and wonders why they have stopped fighting since the quest isn't even finished yet. Meanwhile, MC changes his appearance to hide his identity. He realizes the quest isn't over because there hasn't been an announcement about the siege yet. He wonders if he should help the players or not since it can hinder his chance to participate in the competition. He considers logging off, but suddenly Lebeus pops out of nowhere. At this point, he has gotten used to his excitement and finds it amusing that the NPC follows him everywhere. He sends a message to Yoon asking if she is logged out yet. She asks him what he wants, and he reveals his plans to her. He also instructs the priest and decides to log out. Before he can move, his narcolepsy skills activate, and he falls asleep on the spot. The MC wonders if it is okay since his experience points may go up while he is sleeping. The NPC priest is honored to witness him sleeping in front of him. He starts aggressively bowing down, which scares some of the locals. Sung returns to his daily life and sends one of the recorded videos to his friend. He realizes that it is time for his sister's physical therapy, so he goes to inform her. As he walks inside her room, he sees his sister watching a video about Asura. The video is uploaded by another player, so it is blurred. The MC tells her sister not to be disappointed since the original video will be uploaded to the main channel anyway. He then goes to the hospital with her to check on her rehabilitation. On their way to the hospital, she asks him if he contacted Asura. He mentions that he got an item from a girl named Yoon, who is the sister of her guild's master. He also reveals that Asura doesn't want to join a guild right now. They visit Lee Mina, the doctor. She is excited to see Hyuna accompanied by her brother. She apologizes to him for hiding his sister's secret, but this doesn't bother him. He's just happy that his sister is recovering well. She tells him that his sister started getting some sensations back a while ago. In some cases, the patients who are disabled start to get worse due to family pressure. However, in his sister's case, she was more than determined to recover so she could surprise him. He gets emotional and tells her that he didn't get to spend enough time with her because of his work. The doctor mentions that his sister had a hard time during the first year, but she started feeling better due to the idea game. After their conversation, Lee Mina gets a call about a new capsule that has arrived for her. The person on the phone asks her why she ordered the capsule since she didn't care about it before. She smiles and tells them that she started developing an interest recently, so she wanted to give it a try. She finds it amazing how many of her patients got better because of idea, so she has to try it herself. Meanwhile, all members of the Heroes Guild are having a meeting. Hyuna can't attend the meeting because she has physical therapy. Sunny asks the guildmaster if they are meeting because of the situation in Vinaya. Another guild member mentioned that they couldn't do anything since only players below level 150 could attend. Rin tells them that she got news about Asura, who is still in the city. He is becoming well known among the guild members. However, one of the members is unsure about taking him into their guild since he is an unofficial ranker. Rin mentions that she has encountered Asura while using an alternate account. She reveals that he didn't want to join any guild yet. The black-haired dude tells everyone not to get ahead of themselves. They faced a similar situation in the past where a girl rejected their guild's offer. She challenged all of them to a fight and offered to join their guild if they could defeat her. However, it seemed none of them could defeat her. Sunny gets mad and tells him that the girl is at a higher level than her and Rin. The guy says that he just wants them to not get their hopes up. The guildmaster thanks them for their opinion and tells them that they won't get their hopes up. She shifts the conversation to Hyuna's brother. Everyone likes him, but they hesitate to give him an easy entry into the guild. The guildmaster explains that his sister was really pleading for him. Moreover, he is also in contact with Asura. Everyone is shocked as they hear this. They believe Sung's connection to Asura might give them a chance to recruit him into the guild. They decide to head into the city and help him with the monster invasion. Before they can discuss their strategy, a visitor named Eden arrives. He is the head of the Mythology Guild, which is considered to be the strongest guild in Korea. As he walks, he thinks that someone else should have been sent as the guild master. It turns out that he is also a member of the Heroes Guild. Rin had sent him for the position of the guild master in the Mythology Guild. He sits with the rest of the members, and Rin asks him to start explaining their plan. He explains that they intend to help Vinaya in response to Asura's request, but most of his guild members are already level 150 or higher. He mentions they will provide support to those below level 140 by using buffs. However, they still can't cover anyone. He mentions that Vinaya's barrier disappears when monsters invade a certain area. If at any point their guild starts losing, the Mythology Guild will step in. This was the initial plan, but he reveals that there is a better method which was also suggested by Asura. He suggests using the Pantheon's help. Some members believe that if the Pantheon gets involved, they will definitely win since the NPCs can pass through level-limiting barriers. However, the hard part will be convincing them. The scene then changes to the Pantheon, where Libeus is bullying the bishop to help them defend the city. The poor bishop can't handle the pressure anymore, so he folds and agrees to help him. Bro even makes him raise his hands like a little kid. The Heroes Guild discusses their plan to save Vinaya, and once they reach a conclusion, everyone prepares to head to the city. Eden stays behind with Rin to talk about Asura. When everyone leaves, he asks her if she has already hunted with him. She assures him that he is not a bad guy since he helped her sister and Vinaya before. Hearing this, he tells her that they need to hurry and reveals that the Black Guild is on the move. When Rin hears about the Black Guild, her expression changes. The Black Guild, known as the Black Association, is ranked second on the Korean server and has 5 distinct sub-guilds. Each of the guild masters is said to be an oligarch in real life. Eden is also an oligarch, but he can't face all of them alone since they outnumber him. He tells Rin that they've threatened other guilds and pressured them not to approach Asura. If he joins them, the balance of power will shift. They have the money to do it, but the question is whether they can persuade him by using their money. She tells him that Asura can't be influenced by money. However, if he refuses to join their guild, they might send assassins after him. They can't do anything if that happens. She is positive that the Black Guild will make their move in the Emperor's competition. Eden suggests that Rin and her guild also enter the competition, which would promote their guild as well. He reveals that a specific woman will also be joining the competition. Hearing about that woman, the guild master has even more incentive to participate in the competition. Moreover, she also wants to meet Sung in the competition. Meanwhile, the team leader at Ideas HQ is stressed by his workload. One of the agents reports that the MC has gained new skills and gear from monster hunts. The team leader gets attentive after hearing this and asks him for a list of these updates. He knows that the MC will compete in the fighting competition and is already at level 99. He looks at his skill list and thinks that the pro gamers management agencies may raise concerns about the fairness of the competition. Bro is too OP for the game. Just then, he gets a call from Minura. She says that she has some confidential information and reveals that the competition will include the chairman's daughter. Minwoo seems uninterested and asks her why she is telling him this. However, his expressions completely change once she reveals who the chairman's daughter is. The scene then changes to our Emek, who has just woken up in a weird place. He remembers falling asleep on the street, and he somehow ended up on the altar. As always, Libeus greets him with a jump scare and reveals that he teleported him here using the summoning circle. He receives a notification that the monster siege was successful, along with a special item box and skill box containing random items. The items turn out to be some new clothes. He quickly equips his new gear and decides to get rid of the psycho priest. He orders him to guard the Pantheon while he goes out in the city. Sungs enjoys some alone time walking through the streets of Armen. He plans not to engage with any monster since he doesn't want to increase his level. His peace is short-lived because a few moments into his walk, a spell from Thananos' disciple brings Libeus back to him. The Emek isn't pleased with what he sees since the priest isn't wearing any clothes. He reveals that he got teleported while he was preparing to take a bath. The MC turns around and orders him to get dressed before they head to the capital. Meanwhile, in the east of the Karen Empire, the Black Association is having a meeting. The chief of combat, Jungu, informs them that they have 6 days left before the competition. Their chief of intelligence, nicknamed Black Spy, claims that it will start in 7 days. As they discuss the competition, Asura's name comes up. They wonder if he will show up to the competition. All the members voice their own opinions about the guy. Each of the guild leaders plans to send a representative, and whoever defeats Asura can hire him. They also plan to recruit new members for the guild and eradicate the Manhwa Guild. The meeting is finally concluded, and all of them agree to hand over Asura to the guild who wins the competition. On a snowy mountain, we see Seo-ah running alone. Teleportation scrolls are prohibited beyond the borders, so she can't just teleport. While moving, she thinks about how much Sung has changed since they last met. She also feels a bit disappointed that he hasn't contacted her. Back at the Heroes Guild base, Rin holds another meeting since they failed to locate Asura in the city. Still, the guild members are hopeful that he will show up in the competition. They also seem excited to watch his skills in person. The black-haired guy mentions that the competition might be a bit boring for him since all the players are set to be around level 100 to 200. Rin smiles and reveals that it won't be one-sided since other major guilds are also planning on sending their most talented players for the competition. She mentioned that she called this meeting today to decide who will participate in the competition. It was their chance to showcase their guild's strength to the world. She also shares that the woman who defeated them will also compete in the tournament. This changes the atmosphere in the room. Hyuna tells them that she won't participate because she's primarily a healer and isn't suited for one-on-one battles. Sunny also doesn't want to participate since her AoE spells won't be that effective in one-to-one battles. Hearing this, Rin smiles and decides that everyone else in their guild will participate in the completion. Back in Idea's HQ, all the staff has left the office. However, the team leader stays behind, worried that the chairman's daughter might reveal her identity. He knows Sung's strengths and the potential popularity of the match between him and professional gamers. He checks his computer and realizes that it's the day the DP store resets. He watches nervously as the MC opens the DP store to look for new items and skills. The streets of Vinaya are more crowded than usual due to the competition. The MC waits in line to sign up for the competition. He is surprised to see so many level 100 players participating. He feels a bit annoyed since he has to wait for so long. While he waits, Libeus hides behind some crates and waves at him. He decides to visit the DP store since he knows he'll be standing in the line for a long time. He currently has 8,141 points since he has been hunting quite a lot. He scrolls from basic skills all the way to legendary ones. After looking through his skills, he thinks to himself that he can use them together in the tournament and have a bit of fun. Finally, it was his time to take the test for the competition. Feeling ready for the contest, he knows participants must pass tests by eliminating weaker opponents. During the first exam, all players' passive skills are disabled. They must survive for 10 minutes or defeat the monster in front of them. The MC records the event as his opponent appears. He finds himself facing a duplicate of himself. Excited, he charges at the fake version, and they clash with swords. Though the fake is tough, our boy has no trouble keeping up with him. He quickly decides to use a dagger as a backup. He manages to defeat the fake in just 38 seconds, breaking a record. The system then asks for his competition's name. As he walks out of the test room, he hears a lot of people talking to each other about the scoreboard. He has actually set a new record in the competition, and his name appears on the top of the scoreboard. He feels a bit stupid to go all in since he knows that there will be other unofficial rankers participating in the tournament who will hide their ranks. Among the cheering crowd, there is one guy who doesn't look all that impressed. Instead, he looks angry as he clutches his fist at all the praise for Asura. This man is Lucifer, the professional gamer who is in second place on the scoreboard. He is 2 minutes behind our boy, and this hurts his ego, so he aims to humiliate him in the qualifiers. After some time, the hosts greet the audience and start reviewing player records from levels 100 to 200 and 200 to 300. The commentator isn't that impressed by all the matches so far in the 100-300 level division. Moreover, they are disappointed that Asura's name isn't listed. They also show a video of him clearing through the test in record time. Everyone expects him to be over level 100, so when they don't see him competing in that division, they assume that he won't show up. After talking about the viral star, the discussions shift to the lower-level participants. Everyone is excited that professional players are competing. The most anticipated match is between Lucifer and his rival, Ark. Both of them are on number 2 and 3 on the scoreboard. The camera turns to a reporter on the ground who interviews Ark. He appears to be humble and well-mannered. Before ending the interview, he is asked about his toughest challenge in the competition, and he reveals that it is Asura. He explains that he is the greatest user among all Idea players. Hearing this, everyone in the crowd starts appreciating him more. However, some of the audience is let down because they think he is absent despite promising to participate in his YouTube channel. Another gamer, Lucifer, is interviewed next, but he is the exact opposite of Ark. He sounds arrogant and overconfident, and ends the interview by saying that he doesn't care about any amateur players. The host then explains the preliminary exam, which is a dungeon clear with a time limit. Each player faces 3 bosses, and they can't use their skills. The stats for all the players will be equal, so even if someone is at level 1, they will have the same stats as a level 100 player. This means that only their raw power and control count. Those who clear the dungeons quickly advance to the next round. During all of this, the MC is watching the tournament from his waiting room. He seems frustrated by Lucifer calling him an amateur. He gets up and decides to teach that kid how it feels to face an amateur. The first round of the qualifier begins where players go off against the bosses. These bosses have more stats than the players, so it really requires great skill to defeat them. We see Ark showing off his skills against a gorilla boss without taking damage. Many notice his impressive abilities. He continues playing with his opponent by not giving him any chance to attack. The audience cheers for him to win. Lucifer starts his exam as well, and he is well ahead of Ark. His boss is already at 50% HP, while Ark's boss still has 65% HP left. Even though he is rough and rude, the commentators can't ignore the skills that he has. He thinks that this will just be another easy first place for him. He has also received a special invitation from the Black Association. Of course, he accepted it. On the other hand, his rival Ark also received the invitation, but he rejected it. While destroying the boss, he thinks about Asura and how he didn't show up. He considers him an amateur and a good-for-nothing YouTuber. However, just then, a notification rings out that someone has completed the first stage. The record time to clear the first phase of the qualifier round was around 23 minutes and 34 seconds across all divisions. Some guy had just finished the first phase in 4 minutes and 31 seconds, breaking the record by a huge margin. The crowd is shocked when it's revealed that Asura is the one who broke the record. The entire stadium goes wild as they realize that the most hyped player in the competition has finally arrived. Most players are surprised to learn that he is only level 99. This news creates a buzz on the server, as they can't believe the Monster Siege winner is not level 100. The excitement in the stadium reaches a peak as our masked boy battles a snake. All the cameras point at him as he showcases his quick reflexes and precision, hitting the snake in its weak spots. Despite the snake being tough to damage, he slices through it effortlessly. My man is just built different. The host notices how precise and focused Asura's movements are. He only dodges the attacks from a narrow distance, so he can hit the snake with the dagger in his hand. This allows him to stack up the damage with time and look stylish at the same time. Soon, he defeats the boss snake, and the third phase begins without delay. He rushes at the vampire boss, slashing it repeatedly. The vampire can't react in time, and our boy takes it down easily. His records are shown again, and in just 29 minutes and 16 seconds, he finishes the first round. The crowd cheers loudly, claiming that Asura will still win in a global competition. Coa watches him closely and recognizes his impressive skill improvement. Excited, she plans to tease him by sending him a message if she wins the competition. However, she wonders about his use of the name Asura. Rin also watches the first round and is puzzled by how he performs those moves. Then she remembers how he practiced weird techniques while they were hunting. Even though she thinks he will win, she still wants to give it her all in the contest. The preliminary rounds end, and Seoa places second after Aura. The third place goes to Rin. Many of the other top-ranked competitors are from the Heroes Guild. Seoa is disappointed to get second place since she won't be able to tease Sung about it. Rin is also a bit unhappy since she wants to win and recruit him into her guild. However, the most disappointed is my man Lucifer. Bro talked big in his interview and got 17th place in the first few rounds. After logging off, the MC feels a bit tired, so he decides to rest before his matches tomorrow. As he walks to the living room, he notices his sister is completely focused on the competition. To avoid suspicion, he explains that he was eliminated since there are a lot of pro players competing. His sister informs him that all of Rin's guildmates are in the top 15. He is impressed after hearing this and realizes that her guild is actually quite strong. His sister tells him that the strongest players are the ones who aren't even competing. Among the unofficial rankers, she only knows her guild master and the woman who got second rank. She is talking about Seo-ah, if you couldn't guess. After talking, Sung takes a nap to regain his strength for the next day's games. When the competition resumes, everyone is excited, including regular viewers. The hosts discuss the professional players who lost to the unofficial Korean rankers, with Asura leading these players. In the stadium, his video from yesterday's stage plays again. The commentators also announce the format for the final rounds. Each player will compete against each other, and the Emperor wants to see their strength firsthand. The first match is between Asura and a professional player named Izel. Bro is literally facing the final boss in his first round. The guy feels tense as he sees the masked maniac in front of him. Instead of his usual black mask, he chose to wear a white mask this time to showcase his knight persona. The pro wonders how to approach the MC since he couldn't even study his other form well. The MC wanted to save this for later fights, but since he was going against a pro, he could unleash his true powers. He prepares by using his skill, Sweet Dreams. As soon as the spell activates, his AI takes over, and he rushes towards the opponent. The guy tries to attack him with bullets, but the MC quickly dodges. Realizing he's at a disadvantage, Izel throws his weapons away. He creates a mana shield and plans to hit him with his signature mana bullets once he blocks the attack. However, his shield breaks just from a single strike. He tries to counterattack with bullets, but the MC blocks them and strikes back with slashes. The pro is unable to respond, and the match ends with the MC's victory. In his waiting area, Lucifer watches, clearly frustrated. He clenches his teeth as he thinks about killing him. Suddenly, he receives a message from Zerable, one of the leaders of the Black Guild. He warns him that their contract will be cancelled if he loses his match against Asura. He assures the man that he will win at all costs. Now, even his career is at risk. Meanwhile, members of the Black Association joke about the pro who just lost to the MC. They look forward to the performances of the other guild members, but they know that Asura is just too strong. One of them even thinks that he has the best control in the entire game. They know that he has potential, and if someone could teach him, he might become the best player in the game. As they discuss signing him into their guild, Zerable tells them that Lucifer can still defeat Asura. He isn't ready to admit that the best pro player in the world can lose to an amateur. Lucifer's reputation is still at stake. After some discussion, they decide to wait and see what happens next. With so much on the line, he is out for blood. His matches end quickly, and he wins all of them decisively. The host announces that the first section is over, and the MC is named the MVP due to his outstanding performance. The host informs everyone that there will be a 10-minute break before the matches continue. Suddenly, the reporter informs him that they have managed to get Asura for an interview. Everyone is overly hyped to see what the MVP has to say. The host starts asking him questions, and he feels tense but has to go through with the interview. She asks him about his first match, and he tells her that it was close. He talks about how professional players are on another level, so he was trying his best. He also says he respects the other players and won't hold back. Finally, she asks him about Ark being the best player among current gamers. The MC tells her that he doesn't believe Ark is the best professional player in the competition. Sung makes this bold claim and then leaves, leaving the crowd in shock. Back in the waiting room, he feels like he shouldn't have acted so tough with his last answer. It is now time for his next match, and he knows that everyone will be expecting the Knight persona. So he changes back to the black mask. No one, including his opponent, could see this coming. His match ends quickly, as he easily outplays him. He rushes back to his room to avoid interviews. As he watches the next match, he notices a familiar face. This match features Ark, a professional player, against Yoon, Rin's sister. Both players want to win to face Asura next. They start off fast, and their movements are hard to capture on camera. The crowd is excited since both players appear to be on the same level. Yoon steps up her game and rushes towards him with her double swords. He tries to block her attack, but she simply knocks his sword away from his hand. As she goes in for the final blow, he reveals his secret weapon. He counterattacks with his frozen punch, giving her no time to think. Realizing she can't avoid the close-range attack, Yoon surrenders. The crowd cheers for both players' impressive skills. The MC is amazed by Ark's knuckle weapons and considers trying them out. Meanwhile, MC and Sunny are in the stadium enjoying the matches. They talk about Rin's younger sister, who reminds Hyuna about her brother. She tells her friend that he also competed in the tournament, but got eliminated. Her friend speculates that something is off because rumors say that her brother is stronger than Kaiser, so his early elimination seems unlikely. They conclude that he might be hiding his true skills to avoid the attention, and that's why he intentionally dropped out of the competition. As another round ends, the host is amazed to see that 6 of the top 16 players are from the Hero Guild, and they are even stronger than Lucifer. The members of the Hero Guild walk into the stadium with style. They are all happy to compete since it would give their guild some international attention. As they are talking, a tall man approaches Rin and points at Seo Ah. The man is named Vern, and he is from the Mythic Guild. The guild is affiliated with the Hero Guild. He asks her if she will be able to defeat that girl. When she tells him that she might lose, he says that he will make her use all of her tricks, so she has a better chance of winning her fight. Rin knows that she has to win if she wants to recruit her, so she doesn't object. On the other hand, Seo-ah just wants to face the MC. During her fight with Vern, Seo-ah changes her entire appearance using a spell. Everyone in the crowd goes wild, captivated by her beauty and skills. Before fighting, both of them exchange some words. The guy knows that if he loses, Rin will be next to challenge her, so he decides to give it his all. He asks her if she would still join their guild if she loses, and she confirms it. After wasting everyone's time by yapping, they both decide to start fighting. The big guy makes his move, but she easily blocks his attacks. Even though he is strong, she is making it feel effortless. He tries again, but she counterattacks with her scythe. Even though he manages to block the attack, he gets pushed back on the stage. Upon seeing this power, he realizes that she is a monster. However, he isn't going to give up this easily. He uses a spell and disappears from sight. Coa swings her weapon in a circle, which reveals his position. Her reaction time is fast, so she manages to dodge his attack at the last time. Now it is time for her to finish the fight. Before he can react, she releases her chains. He struggles but can't defend himself as he is completely trapped. She finishes him off with her scythe. Vern loses the battle without any chance of winning. The audience is amazed by the fight. Even the Emperor is impressed, but he appears to be more interested in Asura. He orders one of his assassins to gather information about him. He plans to take him as his own disciple to cure his boredom. At night, a team of assassins tries to break into the hotel where the MC is staying. As one of them walks up the stairs, he hears someone telling him to stop. He is surprised that someone managed to catch him since he is the best assassin in the Empire. As he turns back, he notices Libeus standing there with a smile on his face. The assassin couldn't sense his presence, so he realizes that he is actually more skilled than him. It means that he is skilled enough to assassinate the Emperor. With this possibility in mind, he tries to eliminate the priest, but he misjudges his skills again and falls on his knees. Libeus casts a spell on the assassin, which prevents him from speaking. He doesn't want to kill the guy since it would cause more trouble, so he uses a spell to get him under his control and orders him to send a message to the Emperor. He leaves with all of his fellow assassins. The priest knows that things are a lot more serious now. He decides to contact the Pope since he isn't in contact with the Apostle. He takes out a paper and writes a letter to the Pope. The Pope answers back through the letter and warns him against starting a war with the Emperor. He advises him to watch the situation for now. However, if the Emperor doesn't back away, they will be forced to start a war. The Emperor finally receives his message, in which he asks him to find them respectfully instead of sending assassins. Upon hearing this, he laughs loudly, breaking some glass in his room. He knows exactly who he is facing. Back in his prime, he only lost to one guy after fighting for 10 days. That person was the Apostle of Death and Sleep. The Emperor smiles since he wants to fight him again. He gets even more interested in Sung as he realizes that the followers of Thanatos are protecting him. He sends the assassin away and picks up his magic ball to contact the Pope himself. The next day, when Libeus meets the MC, he proudly shares that he did something good. The MC nervously asks him what he did. The priest tells him that the Emperor sent someone last night. Hearing this, the MC informs him about the Emperor's tournament. He thinks that the Emperor probably sent the guy to grant him a wish. Libeus knows that he will get in trouble if he tells him the truth. So he says that he sent the guy back since he wasn't here. The MC gets annoyed and walks away to practice. The priest decides to inform the Pope about the situation. However, the Pope is frustrated since the Emperor already reached out to him. He tells him to deal with the situation himself. Meanwhile, Jaewon calls Sung to tell him that he can withdraw money from his channel. He checks his bank account and discovers he has 2 million from playing games. He is thrilled with his earnings since has only started playing the game for a couple of weeks. However, when he takes another look, he soon realizes that his bank account doesn't have 2 million won, but instead, it has $2 million. Bro is already a millionaire. The tournament resumes, and the Emperor is excited to watch the next match since it features Asura. He has the Archmage Yuria sitting beside him. He has invited her to watch the competition. However, she doesn't look all that excited. She tells him that all the players look below average, but the Emperor asks her to wait a bit longer. The crowd is buzzing as the match begins. The mage girl noticed the shift in the crowd as they saw the player on the stage. She looked at the Emperor, who was completely focused on the match. The girl was surprised to see that one of the players was a mage type. Our boy had completely changed his entire playstyle, and he was carrying a staff now instead of his 2 swords. This made the Emperor even more interested in the fight. Sung was facing off against Ark in this match. Everyone was confused by his blue mask, and they wondered if he was going to show them his new style. As soon as the match starts, the MC uses his flame spell on his opponent. The crowd cheers as he creates a massive explosion. For someone who isn't even at level 100, this kind of magic spell casting is highly impressive. The MC had received some great magical spells when he visited the DP store earlier. One of his spells increased mana regeneration, while the other removed any cast time from his spells. This meant that he could constantly use his magical spells with dragon language with no cast time. This did consume more mana, so he had to use it efficiently. The MC notices that his opponent is still calm despite facing such a powerful spell. Moreover, he was slowly trying to close the distance between them. As he gets closer, the MC increases the intensity of his flames, causing another huge explosion. Ark realizes that he needs to stay cautious, as getting too close to him could be dangerous. His health drops below 30% and he knows he is going to lose. However, he just wants to land a single hit on Asura. As Sung uses his spells, Ark jumps to avoid the fireballs. He notices that his magic circle is gone and thinks to himself that he must be out of his mana. This is his only chance to win, so he rushes in to attack the MC. However, he immediately gets engulfed in powerful flames. The MC had another spell up his sleeve. The spell allowed him to plant a mine whose strength grew as he consumed more mana. He used the explosions as a distraction to plant the mine. Ark falls, and the crowd goes wild as the strongest player is defeated by Asura. The Emperor looks at the mage girl to ask for her opinion. She tells him that the magic part was done using the chant less and dragon language spells. However, the way he used that 6-star magic made her think that he really was someone special. Both of them are impressed by his talent and consider him for apprenticeship. There is a wholesome moment between the two players after the match where Ark asks Sung if he is part of any guild. The MC tells him that he hasn't joined any guild yet, but he can send him a friend request. Hearing this, the guy starts thanking him aggressively. This reminds him of the crazy priest who keeps following him. Nothing really happens in the next few matches until we get to the match between Rin and Seo-ah. The MC is eager to see how strong they are. Rin makes the first move, and Seo-ah responds by using her chains. She realizes that these chains are different from her fight with Vern. She tries blocking them with her sword, but it passes through. She realizes that she can't block it with physical objects, so she allows them to hit her. This allows her to stop the momentum of the chains. The fight becomes chaotic as they trade powerful blows. As they continue fighting, Rin suddenly gets hit by Seo-ah's skill called Sleeping Demon, which puts her to sleep for 5 seconds. Since she was focused so much on the chains, she actually forgot about the scythe. The MC watches this and thinks to himself that if she had been farther away, her opponent wouldn't have been able to use that skill. He gets up thinking the match is over. However, Libeus suddenly appears in front of him. The MC notices that the priest looks anxious, which is strange. A few moments later, the mage girl shows up. She immediately tells him that she wants to make him her disciple. The MC is shocked since he doesn't even know who she is. Yuria apologizes for showing up out of nowhere and talking so informally. She mentions that she always talks this way since she doesn't really have anyone to be formal with. While they talk, a notification pops up, informing the MC that he has completed an achievement just by being near the girl for 5 seconds without dying. This makes him even more scared as he wonders how strong this girl actually is. She introduces herself as the Disaster and claims to be the strongest person on the continent. The MC realizes just how powerful she is since she is even making Libeus feel uneasy, who is over level 560. He decides to keep his mouth shut since he knows that saying something wrong can get him killed. The girl offers him to become her disciple and learn all the magic from her. The MC thinks that it might be a good opportunity, but he still hesitates to accept. The girl leaves while giving him some time to think about the offer. As she leaves, he and the priest both take a sigh of relief. Later, he tries finding more information about her, but all he comes across are negative community posts and comments. He plans to decline the offer since he doesn't want to suffer at her hands. However, there is also a chance that she will kill him for declining. The mage girl goes back to the Emperor, who knows that she snuck out to see Asura. She assures him that she was polite when talking to him, but the Emperor doesn't buy it since he knows her too well. The final match for players under level 100 begins, featuring Lucifer and Asura. The MC wears a blue mask, which annoys Lucifer. He thinks that Asura is mocking him. With a loud horn, the match starts, and Lucifer rushes toward the MC, confident he can handle lower-level spells. He has watched his previous match with Ark. He thinks to himself that the MC can only use 2-star or lower-rated spells without cooling down. He plans to simply tank the spells since they are not that strong and get closer to him. However, as he gets close, the MC uses a powerful dark flame spell that hits Lucifer, stunning the crowd. He then uses his Nocturne skill and Black Lightning, shocking everyone further. Lucifer gets affected by the Nightmare status and falls down. Seeing him getting one shot by the MC, the audience goes wild. Asura defeats him in under a minute. With that, the competition reaches its conclusion, and they hold an award ceremony where the winners are announced. It turns out that the mage girl will be presenting the awards. The MC thinks about running away, but he might get killed and never receive any rewards, so he stands still. The Emperor looks worried that she might cause an accident. As she steps on the stage, she stands in front of the MC. Before he can say anything, his narcolepsy skill activates, and he goes to sleep. His character falls to the ground right in front of the mage girl. The stadium goes silent, and everyone thinks that she killed him. Meanwhile, The girl wonders if she accidentally did something to him. Sung wakes up in the imperial palace, where Libius is the first one to greet him. He asks the priest if the emperor and the mage girl knew about his narcolepsy. He tells him that they must have felt it since it was the word of God. This makes him a bit relieved. Suddenly, a servant enters the room and is scolded by the priest for being rude. A servant informs him he needs to go see the emperor right away. Only he is allowed to enter the audience chamber and the priest is ordered to stay outside. Out of respect, the MC decides not to wear his mask. As he is about to step inside, he hears Libius telling him that he will go to war if the emperor tries doing anything foolish with him. We all deserve a friend like Libius. As he enters the emperor's chamber, the emperor greets him casually. The MC wonders if he should kneel down in front of him, but the emperor senses it and tells him that there is no need for him to kneel down. Yuria is there too, and the emperor criticizes her for her rash behavior and mentions that she is just going through puberty. Despite the tension, he congratulates him on his win, but says he has something important to discuss first. The emperor mentions that Yuria is serious about taking him as her apprentice, and he wants to mentor him as well. Sung feels overwhelmed by their interest in him. He thinks about what being an apprentice would mean for his freedom. He declines their offers, explaining that he values his independence and exploration too much. After his speech, the room falls silent, and Hyen feels like he made a strong case. He literally gave a speech from some novels and movies. He thought it would be perfect for some NPCs. However, to his surprise, he hears both of them laughing. Confused, he asks them why they're laughing. The emperor explains that they have a skill book, which means that he doesn't have to stay in the kingdom to learn. Yuria continues laughing, which makes him feel even more embarrassed. It wasn't practical to stay in the palace to learn the skills since it took so long. This is why they used skill books. However, even with the skill books, they won't teach him everything. They will only be teaching him the basics, and it is his own job to develop that skill to the highest level. The mage girl stops laughing and assures him that becoming their apprentice won't take away his freedom. He can still develop his own skills. The emperor promises him by putting his honor on the line. This meant that he would lose his title if he broke this promise. Yuria also makes the pledge, and they ask him once more if he wants to become their disciple. This time he happily agrees. Now he has the titles of Disciple of the Iron-Blooded Emperor and Yuria. Each title boosts all his stats by 50 points and gives him 1,000 reputation points. Along with these titles, he receives bonuses, a passive ability that reduces his mana needs and boosts his sword skills by 50%, and a skill that does the same for his spells. His learning time for new skills is also cut in half. Tears of happiness fall from Sung's face as he receives his first skill book from the emperor. The emperor gives him a book called Chan's Manual of Swordsmanship, which is legendary. With this, he can practice the emperor's sword techniques. He starts using the book right away, gaining the ability to cause bleeding as a passive effect, which can stack, and an active skill called Stab that has a 10-second cooldown and can bypass defenses. The emperor allows him to choose any unique item or lower from the storeroom and a wish. He then asks Yuria to guide him to the room. As the two of them leave, the emperor tells the priest to reveal himself. Libius immediately appears from behind while holding a dagger. The emperor looks at him and tells him that he has thought of something for his master. While traveling to the storeroom, Yuria gives the MC 2 legendary books. The first book, titled Introduction to Gravity, increases intelligence by 100 and teaches gravity magic. The second book, the Gravity Meter Skill Book, allows him to learn the Gravity Meteor skill. He realizes that this is the strongest magic among meteorite summoning magic. He can't just fire it randomly since it costs a lot of mana, but he can still use it a few times. Yuria then presents him with her own collection of handwritten skill books. She runs off to get him more items. He feels happy, noticing that she is excited to have him as a strong disciple. He smiles as he enjoys the generous treatment he receives. She finally leads him into a room filled with amazing heroic grade items. She tells him to choose quickly, as staying too long could cause trouble. He can only choose one item, so she asks that he choose wisely. The MC looks around and takes out his old longsword. The Iris's failed product 1 attached to the sword is acting weird. He thinks to himself that there must be Iris's failed products 2 and 3. Luckily, he comes across the failed product 3, which appears to be the best one. He gets a new quest saying that if he finds all the Iris's failed products, he might receive an unknown reward. They leave the room together after he gets his item. The Emperor and Yuria are pleased that he accepted their offers. He suddenly gets angry and asks if she knows about the heroic grade item that he just picked. Yuri jokes that she didn't know about the item and teases the Emperor for being stingy. The Iron-Blooded Emperor is impressed that the MC chose Iris's failed product from all the options. Meanwhile, Sung arrives in Hanam, the first granary city of the Empire, to find stronger monsters. He wants to test his new spells. He starts going through his weapons for the hunt and spots Isla's stick. He can't really use the stick since it's a special item for magic that requires level 200. He also notices Killian's ring in his inventory that has the same level requirement. When he holds both of the items, he gets a notification informing him that the items can be fused together. This is new for him, so he decides to go for it and successfully combines them, creating a new heroic grade item called the Ayla and Killian's Staff. This staff reduces the time needed to cast spells and boosts his magic power by 500%. It also allows him to use the spell Evil's Curse 5 times a day. Sung thinks this item should at least be legendary due to its powerful effects. Excited to test his new weapons, he heads to a wide-open field. He uses his gravity meteor ability on the ground in front of him. The NPCs and the monsters in that area notice a circle high in the sky. The circle gets huge and crashes down near the town, causing a massive explosion. People panic, calling for healers as the city wall is destroyed. This also raises the MC's karma score. Despite the chaos, he levels up to 100 and gains new skills: Thananos' alarm clock and Thananos' postmonition. He also unlocks the quest to find the second trace. The MC stops in shock, still processing what happened. He realizes that the gravity meteor has a greater range and more destructive power than he thought. Moreover, he can use it again if he has more mana, which makes the spell completely overpowered. However, he also loses DP points because he gained so many karma points. After getting rid of his karma points, no one suspects the MC for this destruction. Instead, they mistakenly blame Yuria for it. Relieved, the MC learns a lesson. He won't test his abilities without reading their descriptions first. He decides to try out his new skills. Thananos' alarm clock is a god-grade skill that allows him to set a wake-up time whenever his narcolepsy activates. Its active skill kills all creatures within 100 meters after using 10,000 DP points. Sung smiles as he finally receives a spell that could stop his narcolepsy. The second skill, Thananos' postmonition, has a 2-hour cooldown and activates a random buff for 30 minutes. He can either receive a buff that doubles his attack damage, increases his experience, or doubles the drop rate of items in gold. Despite the randomness, everything seems to work in the MC's favor. He then looks at his class quest. This time his goal is to defeat the Demon King in the Philios Kingdom and acquire the orb where his soul is sealed. Unlike his first quest, this one has no time limit. He simply needs to finish it before he unlocks the next part of the quest, which will be at level 150. The MC has read that the monsters in the kingdom have become stronger. He plans to level up close to 150 by killing all these monsters and then finishing his quest. He raises both hands, causing the earth to shake as he calls forth many meteors to level up quickly. Meanwhile, at the Black Guild Association, Zerubal is still furious about what happened at the tournament. This was his opportunity to be acknowledged by his father. His representative, Lucifer, abandoned him after losing. He orders his secretary to find the guy right now. The scene changes to the Temple of Thananos, where the Pope welcomes Seo-Ah. He calls her the Saintess of Thananos. He tells her that she needs to go to the Karen Empire since he has something that he wants to receive from the Emperor. He mentions that it is very important to their religion and their master. She receives a new quest for delivering the relic of Thananos. Upon seeing the quest description, she thinks it looks quite simple. After she leaves the temple, the Pope feels relieved that the temple will receive a divine item for their god. However, they still need to unlock the seal, and he wonders if the priest will be able to do it properly. Meanwhile, Sung has been working hard to level up quickly. After 7 days, he is at level 148 following the Empire competition. Now that he feels ready for his quest, he decides it's time to master the Emperor's swordsmanship. He switches from using his staff to his sword and goes back inside the castle. As he approaches the castle, he hears a familiar voice. It's the apostle whom he met during the first quest. He is annoyed at him, but he knows that this is a hologram, so he can't do anything. The apostle starts giving him the explanation of the quest. He tells him that the Wyvern's clones quest was easier than this one, which is why Libaeus is with him. The apostle shares the kingdom's history. The previous king was strong and humble, but his son was envious and cruel. After killing his father, the kingdom suffered under his rule. It was at that time when the Karen kingdom became an empire and declared war against its neighboring nations. The Philios kingdom tried to resist but ultimately lost when the iron-blooded monarch took control. When the Karen empire broke into his castle, he realized that it was the end. In those moments, he found the Demon King's soul fragment that he had sealed. This desperate king made a deal with a demon to protect his kingdom. The emperor eventually gave up trying to defeat him because the king kept coming back to life. No one dares to invade the kingdom because of this. The apostle warns Sung that this quest is more challenging than the last one, knowing how much Sung enjoys conflicts. He mentions that Wyvern's clone doesn't even stand a chance against this king. He has also gotten stronger due to the Demon King's energy possessing him. After giving him the warning, he vanishes. However, the MC feels excited instead of scared because he sees a chance to make another video for his channel. He begins his main quest and receives a side quest that increases his experience points and item drops. As soon as he arrives at the castle, demonic guards charge at him. He easily parries their attacks, pulls out his dagger, and strikes one guard hard enough to send him flying into a wall. Surprised by his own strength, he notices the effectiveness of the Emperor's swordsmanship. Although the guards try to surround him, they start to flee as they realize how powerful their opponent is. Just before they escape, the MC uses his magic bullets and strikes them with black lightning. Then, he activates his floating domain psychokinesis spell, making his weapons float and attack the soldiers. He also uses a new ability called Slice, defeating soldier after soldier, but they keep coming. The priest is there to heal and support him. Growing frustrated, the MC changes his class again to regain his mana. He then uses the gravity meteor in the castle, causing a massive explosion. The priest is thrilled as the castle catches fire and begins to collapse. With the entire castle on fire, the commander reports this situation to the Demon King and assures him that he will take care of the situation. The Demon King smirks since he has been waiting for him for a long time. The terrified soldiers don't know what to do against the MC. With no other option left, they charge at him hoping to drain his stamina. However, the MC continues defeating them one by one. While fighting, he notices a door that looks to be in perfect condition despite the entire castle being hit by his meteor strike. Suddenly he hears Libeus provoking all the demonic soldiers to attack him, telling them that he must be tired by now. Bro is literally a menace. As the MC prepares to destroy them, the Knight Commander, Mirando, shows up. He orders all the soldiers to stand back since he knows that they are no help. Sung knows he must defeat this guy if he wants to reach the Demon King. The two of them engage in a clash. The commander is struggling to keep up with the MC's speed, so in desperation he uses his strongest skill. Before the commander's sword can hit Hung, he teleports behind him. The commander swings his sword, but he blocks the attack just in time. Sung manages to parry the commander's strikes and knocks his sword away. He then quickly grabs his own sword and hits him with the Heavenly Thrust skill. Finally, he uses Nocturne, hitting him with black lightning. Although the commander falls, he still hopes his king will survive. Seeing this fight, the remaining soldiers begin to flee for their lives, but the MC attacks them. He uses his telekinesis to gather the items dropped by the defeated soldiers. Libeus watches in amazement as his master takes down all his foes. They soon enter a room where the Demon King waits patiently. The MC knows how powerful this Demon King is and asks the priest if he can seal the king's immortality. Libeus confirms that he can. Suddenly, the Demon King stands up, towering at 4 meters tall. The MC realizes this boss will be much faster than the Wyvern clone, so he uses the effects of his Belt of Dreams to prepare himself. He decides to wait for the boss to attack first so he can read his moves. Meanwhile, the priest is busy reading a weird chant to seal the immortality. When he is done, the MC immediately rushes to attack the Demon King to try to analyze his strength. However, to his surprise, the Demon King suddenly bows and begs him to take his life. This disappoints Sung because he wants a real fight. The Demon King expresses a desire to end his long stay in the abandoned castle. But the MC is frustrated that he is not getting the battle he wanted. Libeus tells the MC that he is so strong that his opponents surrender before even fighting him. Sung decides to honor the Demon King's request and raises his sword. Just before he can strike, an alert sounds. It says that a legendary egg inside his inventory wants to leave his storage. Confused, he opens his inventory and takes out the egg. He watches as the egg starts to hatch. It mimics Hung's telekinesis and asks if it can absorb the Demon King's power. The MC realizes that this has nothing to do with the quest and asks the priest if they need to recover the power of the Demon King. Libeus tells him that nothing like that was mentioned in the quest. Hearing this, the MC decides to allow the egg to absorb the Demon King's power. The egg approaches the Demon King, who is too tired to fight back. It fulfills its mission, making the Demon King happy. After absorbing the power, the egg suddenly hatches into a baby dressed as a demon. This amazes both Sung and the priest, who find it cute. The baby immediately starts talking, and the MC realizes that it is a legendary ++, making it more powerful than the Emperor's swordsmanship and gravity abilities. The baby boasts about its skills. Although it has no name yet, it can grow and evolve to the level of a demigod. It can also consume the soul of a boss defeated by its master to increase his stats. Moreover, he also has the ability to copy an enemy's skills, which has a 30-day cooldown. This overpowered pet can even mimic Hung's ability to speak dragon language, and has a skill that revives it instantly after death. The cooldown for his immortality spell is 10 seconds. After explaining its abilities, the demon baby happily hugs the MC and says that he is so cool. At the same time, he receives a notification that he has finished his second quest. He has now reached level 150, which means that his third quest will now be activated. As the apostle appears to explain the quest, he notices Sung's new pet, which is very cute. He praises the pet for absorbing the Demon King's fragment. The MC gets annoyed as he realizes that the apostle is just wasting time, so he asks him to just give him his rewards. The apostle requests him to choose between the relic and the authority. Since he chose the authority first, he decided to go with the relic this time. However, he is definitely not pleased with what he sees. He has to choose between the relic and the authority. However, just by looking at the name of the relic, he can tell that it is trash. He eventually decides to go with the Conductor of Death authority. This authority allows him to fall asleep while turning into a corpse. All the damage he receives during this time will be nullified, and his attack power will be increased by 500%. Moreover, he also gets buffs on other spells during his nightmare state. The MC is happy with this skill, but it can only be used once a month. Now it is time for the apostle to explain the third quest. He quickly explains that he needs to go to the Emperor and acquire 2 relics from him to clear the quest. Until he acquires those relics, he won't be able to progress past level 19. As the apostle leaves, Sung decides to go back to the Empire. He already knew something like this would happen, so he bought a lot of teleportation scrolls. Meanwhile, the priest thinks that he might have forgotten something important. The MC is shocked when he asks the Emperor for the relics. The Emperor tells him that he has already given them away to the Pope. He claims that someone from the Thananos' church arrived to take the relics in order to unseal them, so he must have not heard about it. The priest realizes his mistake and starts aggressively apologizing. The Emperor tells him that he can't really teleport to the church, so he might have to walk, which will take about a month at his speed. He suggests that he stays here while the people at the church bring it back to him. Meanwhile, he will make a flying boat for him that will allow him to fly through the sky at high speeds. Sung gets excited hearing this and immediately agrees. Meanwhile, Rin is busy going through hundreds of applications from players who want to join her guild. As she is busy rejecting the application, her sister enters the room with Hyuna. The two of them sit down, and Hyuna tells her that her brother will be visiting tomorrow to inspect the guild house. Yoon is a bit confused and asks her about her brother. She remembers Sung telling him that he had a sister in the Heroes Guild. She figures out that he must be her brother. She wonders if he is finally going to reveal his true identity to his sister. She asks him if she can also join them during his visit. Back in the real world, the MC's sister tells him that her guild master and her sister will also be present during his visit to the guild house. He thinks to himself that they must have figured it out. However, he still agrees to go since they already know his true identity. The next day, he goes back to monster hunting. He gathers all of them in one place and strikes them with the meteor. As the meteor hits the ground, he notices Libeus jumping out of the flames. Bro tanked an entire meteor. He is helping him lure the monsters so he can kill them all using one spell. It is time for the MC to visit the guild house, so he instructs the priest to hide until he is ordered to reveal himself. He meets his sister in a cafe. She sits down and immediately looks shocked when she sees him. The MC thinks that she might have figured it out, but she is surprised to see the pet on his shoulder. She loves the cute demon baby and plays with it a bit. The MC gives him some boss souls to eat, and the little guy starts munching on it. The guildmaster and her sister show up. Rin stops for a second as she recognizes the MC. He plans to reveal his identity once the sisters sit down. However, he suddenly starts to feel something. An explosion rocks the entire cafe and the wall is completely destroyed. The MC manages to dodge the blast using his shield. From the smoke appears the mage girl who calls her by his nickname Asura. The MC's sister hears this and wonders why she is calling her brother by that name. Just when the MC thinks he is busted, his sister starts looking around and asks him if Asura is here. Suddenly, everyone in the crowd starts looking for him too. The MC puts on his mask and walks over to the mage girl. His sister is completely stunned upon seeing him like this. Sung suggests that they go talk somewhere else since there are a lot of people here. The mage girl notices the 3 girls and asks him if they are his friends. The MC tells her that one of the girls is his sister, while the other 2 are his friends. Yuria snaps her finger, and the 4 of them immediately get teleported to the Empire. They leave the poor priest behind as he falls to the ground crying. He knows that the mage girl could see him, yet she still chose to ignore him. The group is now inside Uriah's lab, where she researches her magic. She gives the MC the skill book, trying to become his favorite teacher. He realizes that he doesn't even need to visit the DP store anymore since he can get all the skills from her teachers. This time, he receives a meteor riding skill that allows him to ride a meteor, and control its direction for long distances. The mage girl reveals that the Emperor wanted to give him a flying wyvern, but she stopped him and gave him this spell instead. Bro got scammed. After getting the new skill, the MC decides to leave. His sister looks at him and tells him that he has a lot of explaining to do. They go back to the guild house where he explains everything to her. However, it still sounds unbelievable no matter how many times she hears it. As she continues staring blankly into the dark, the MC talks to the guildmaster and her sister. Walking through the city, he realizes that the NPCs really trust them. As they walk further, she reveals that the #1 guild Manhwa is also affiliated with their hero guild. The #1 ranked player Eden used to be a member of their guild, but he was the only one she could trust, so she made him the guild master of the Manhwa guild. It is revealed that Eden is Rin's cousin. She mentions that everyone in the Manhwa guild above level 300 knows that they are part of the hero guild. They transferred any promising players from that guild into the hero guild, and that was also how they recruited Huna. As they moved along, Sung noticed a green-lit passageway. The guild master informed him that their guild owned this dungeon. Every guild territory has a secret dungeon like this, though not everyone has access. She explained that the dungeon contains monsters above level 300, which they use for leveling up or preparations. This is used as a way to level up quickly. She mentions that there is also a similar dungeon in the palace. He begins to consider the dungeon in the Imperial Palace and plans to request access from his teachers once he is done with the main quests. Their next stop is the castle wall, which serves as a primary defense. They have built huge castle walls along the edge of the cliff to protect against flying monsters. Sung realizes that this is what an impregnable fortress looks like. He wonders if he could ever own something similar. As they prepare to move on, a loud noise from outside catches their attention. The fortress defenses are being breached, and the wall is weakening. As they all rush to identify the threat, they notice a guy slamming his head into the wall. The intruder is none other than Sung's beloved companion. He wandered around while looking for him and ended up here. The MC shouts at him in anger and orders him to climb the wall. Libeus completely ignores all the magical traps and scales the wall effortlessly. As he climbs up, the MC hits him with a gravity and heavenly thrust punch. The priest thanks him since he considers it an honor to be touched by him. Rin was astonished upon seeing this. She wonders what level Libeus has reached, as the damage he caused was comparable to that of level 300 monsters attacking for an hour. With the tour over, she led the MC to the meeting room. Once they were all seated, she surprised everyone by announcing that she couldn't accept Sung into their guild. Hung is confused, as he was expecting to be welcomed into the guild. Meanwhile, a separate meeting takes place in the Veldran Kingdom, where the leaders of the Black Guild Association gather. They ridicule Zerable for his overconfidence, and some even doubt his ability to lead the Black Hunter Guild. One of the leaders, named Black Spy, considers taking that position from him, especially since the leaders have lost a lot of money in the recent competition. The leader of the Merchant Guild knows that she has been after this position for a long time. This is why she only sent one representative to the competition, as she knew they couldn't win against Asura. They shift their conversation to the Shunwa Guild and wonder what they should do about it. They know that the guild is associated with the Hero Guild and that the guild masters are related in real life. They also speculate that Rin is the daughter of a conglomerate, though they are unsure which one, as they can't identify her. Because of this uncertainty, they decide to delay their plans, agreeing that attacking without full knowledge would be unwise. However, they are confident that with their professional gamers, they could easily win if given time. The only concern is if the Asura joins the Hero Guild. The Black Spy tells them that the Hero Guild probably won't have enough resources to hire him, since he is already earning significant amounts of money and can defeat most boss monsters alone. Moreover, he likes to play alone, so there is no reason for him to join a guild. They decide not to worry about Asura for now and focus on the two guilds. Back in the guild's meeting room, everyone is still confused. They ask Rin how she can suggest something like this. Even my man Libeus is mad. The guildmaster apologizes for being so abrupt and explains that their guild might not be adequate for him. He is already the disciple of the Emperor and the disaster Uriah. Moreover, he is also known worldwide because of his YouTube videos. She argues that she can't put him under her command as the Emperor, or Uriah wouldn't like him working under someone else. The MC realizes that she is actually right. However, Rin immediately suggests forming an alliance. Instead of him joining their guild, she suggests he make his own one-person guild and work together with the Hero Guild. He will still be able to access things like the dungeons and participate in raids. They will also provide him with information about each species of monster and sell him items at the lowest price possible. The MC knows that there is something that she wants from him in return. He asks her what it is. She reveals that she wants him to inform them about the main scenario. He can receive all the benefits from completing the main story, but he has to share the information with them at the end. The Hero Guild was created for this exact reason. They wanted to recruit players so that they could have an impact on the story of the game. She gives him some time to think and sends him a friend request. The scene changes to the Hanum Square where the MC wonders if he should take on their offer. He decides to level up first and form his guild once he receives the relics from the Church of Thananos. However, before all of that, he wants to get some new skills from the DP store. He gets a legendary skill and wonders if there is some kind of bug. After a moment, we see him hunting a monster using a bow and arrow. He is carrying the Ahambrid's Arrow of Destruction. He can shoot different types of arrows over a long distance, which allows him to deal immense damage to his enemies. He is doing a test for his new weapon, so he kills the boss by shooting it in its vital spot and lets the demon baby eat its soul.